Are you ready? Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning. I was singing a song this morning on the way here, my happy song, Zippity Doodah, Zippity A. Yeah. Zippity Doodah, Zippity Hey. Oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine heading our way. Zippity Doodah, Zippity A. See, some of you know the song. Good. If not, you should learn it. It's a wonderful song. So with that happy note, I'd like to call this meeting of the Executive Committee to order. It is Wednesday, May 6th, and my clock says 9, so let's go with 9:02. We'll call it even. Roll call, please.
Allen, Bates, Drums here. Juby, Pius, Leonard, Lewis here. Linder, Molina present. Sanchez, Strathman present. Sturgis,
Present.
Tepe
here.
Williams
here.
Roth
Roth is here.
Purod.
Here as
You have a
well.
quorum?
Do we have any remote attendance requests? No? Okay, everyone is here. Wonderful. Mr. Sturgis, I think you were the last one here, so you can lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from April 8th, 2026?
Madam Chair, this is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent for the approval of the minutes from April 8th, 2026.
Thank you. Do we have a consent for unanimous approval?
No
Yeah,
problem.
no problem. Okay, and any opposition? I see none. Minutes are approved. We have several speakers today who are going to be presenting. Each one known for 3 minutes, and I'd like to start with Chief Judge Phillip.
Good morning, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here at the public comment. I'll be brief, of course. The reason why I'm doing this now is I have to be in Elgin at 10 o'clock. Illinois Supreme Court Justice Elizabeth Rochford is the MC of the new attorney swearing in for the spring. Myself, the other chief judges and the appellate court sit on the dais, and I was instructed last night to not be late. So I'm going to do my best to please the justice. Simply put, I'm here to comment on our resolution that we presented, 26593. You have it probably in your packet already if you haven't reviewed it. Andrea O'Brien and Jason Mathis will be here to give you a little more information on it if you need be. But in short, it's this. We have been engaged in a continual renovation of the 3rd Street Courthouse. You've heard me talk about it for the last 2.5 years about how, as good stewards of the money that we have, we should be putting it into assets and preserving those assets. We're not building anything new. We're trying to make sure that building lasts for a long period of time. In the packet, you'll see a completed picture of the security station that we've had built. We didn't include the other pictures that we have in there, but the 2 pictures in the back show one of the benches that we're looking to replace. We're looking to replace 3 benches, and we need to do this for 2 reasons. One, technology. The benches were built at a time when computers were not a thing. So there's really no room to have them on the desk. All of our case management system is electronic. It's very difficult for judges to navigate through that when they have no space on the desk for anything, including paperwork and things of that nature. Second thing, and this is the one that's more important to me, is security. Haven't noticed, times have changed a little bit. People who do come into our court system, there are many, many more pro se litigants that come into our court system, especially in the civil courthouse. It's estimated almost 40% of new filings can be made by pro se litigants. They don't operate with the same level of decorum, and there is a significant amount of danger for the judges who are in these benches that are very tight. So what we're looking to do is use money that does not come from the general fund. It's not additional money we're asking. For those of you who don't remember or know, we have a building facilities fund that is generated by court users. It's part of the fees that are generated when they make their court filings. It operates at about $65,000, $70,000 a month. And everything that we've done to improve the courthouse has come from that fund. We haven't done anything through the general fund. We've not asked you for any additional money, but it is something that you have to approve so that we don't do something crazy like build a big statue of me or something like that with the funds, right? And make sure that we use it for something really appropriate. So that's what we're here to do. I thank you for your courtesy in listening to me now. I have a minute left. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them now. Otherwise, Andrea O'Brien and Jason Mathis will be available for whatever you need.
All right, we don't usually do questions. Oh, from the public, so concede your time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Enjoy the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Vicki Davidson.
Vicki Davidson Bell from Geneva. My comments last week to the Finance Committee were in reference to inappropriate, unprofessional finance report from Mr. Lausen presented. Now I have my tax bill, and what do I find? Completely inappropriate political propaganda added to my bill. Mr. Lausen included in the tax billing an advertisement that touts how he kept down taxes, including a color picture of himself. I would like to know what this costs the taxpayers. I believe Mr. Lausen wanted his budget increased. Even if the cost for this advertisement for him was covered by his budget, it was still an unnecessary cost to the taxpayer. Tax bills should have only been tax bills and not include an advertisement for himself to every taxpayer in the county. In his finance report given last week, the treasurer pats himself on the back for increased investment revenues. He obviously wants to connect it to his going to another facility for banking. We should remember that in 2023, First American Bank asked him to take his business elsewhere due to concerns for banking activity and security, as the office was not adapting to appropriate account safety and policy protocols. Did revenue increase under their current treasurer? Yes. But that would be more related to the market changes and change in interest rates. Interest rates went up to help stabilize the economy and are now slowly coming down. Mortgage rates were increased to 8% in 23 and are now down to 6.2%. I think we will see this effect in the revenue going forward. Next, the report had a ridiculous amount ridiculous and inappropriate amount of political propaganda attached to it, none of which belongs in a professional report. It's embarrassing. WirePoints and the other sources of added materials is simply not an unbiased source of information. Why are basic professional standards not adhered to by the electeds in Kane County? I'm asking the county board to review and enact appropriate report protocols and policy so that the county doesn't have the embarrassment of having this unprofessional type of report in our permanent county records or advertisements in our tax bills. Taxpayers should not be paying for Mr. Lausen's electioneering. And I would like to remind the treasurer that he is supposed to represent us all. John Cunningham seems to do it well, and he should use him as his role model. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ed Monk.
Good morning.
Morning.
Take two. I'm going to speak a little bit from my heart today. I received that same package yesterday. My wife actually opened it like this and thought it was a political ad. She was going to throw it away. This is our real estate tax bill. Last year, there was no picture here. So I think it's the duty of all elected officials to operate with integrity and honesty. and to be held accountable by constituents like all of us. The executive committee here is like senior management. Most of my neighbors on my court thought it was a political ad. Why did they think that? Because of this insert. All this information here was already included in his packet, but this is a political advertisement. When we walk from the visitors parking lot, there's a sign. It says, no electioneering on this property. This seems like something that was generated from the treasurer's office as electioneering. So how much did it cost? Why did he put his picture on it? So I am here asking this executive committee to request the state's attorney look into the misappropriation of taxpayer funds. This handout provides misinformation and is a blatant political advertisement. It should not be paid for out of our taxpayer county funds. I know there's only so much this committee can do, but I do know on the request to speak form, one of the things it says is that the responsibility of the county board is to take suggestions from constituents like myself and pass them on if appropriate. I think this would be an appropriate time to pass my request along to the state's attorney. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Steve Leffler.
Morning. I'm going to talk today about the riverboat funds, but first I'll ask you guys, which side of the sign should this be on? I mean, come on, this is pretty straightforward. This should not be on inside the sign, inside the building. It should be outside. So I'll put this back when I return. So, and what I wanted to talk to you all about regarding the riverboat, I've made public comment a couple of times in a row now, just saying, hey, the internals that we're given about 80% of the riverboat funds to should be funded through the general fund. It's logical, it's accountable, it makes sense to do it. Now, I know you don't have the budget to do that, but I think that going into next year, you should pass some sort of policy that says, yes, we will, any internals are funded by the general fund. And in the meantime, this year, fund those internals from the general fund. And then take the $4 million that you have that are not going to get spent then by the riverboat and loan that money from the riverboat funds into the general fund to cover it. Just, it makes it's a little mix up or a little accounting flip flop, but it makes it so that everybody knows that the general fund is where these things should be funded out of. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Our last speaker of the day is Denise Theobald.
Morning. I am also here to raise serious concerns regarding the recent King County property tax bill sent by the treasurer's office. These bills went out to almost 20,000 King County households, official government documents funded by taxpayers. They're required to be neutral, factual, and strictly informational. An insert included in this mailing raises concerns that it crosses into partisan political campaigning by Mr. Lawson. The insert included the phrase, "hold the line on taxes," prominently displaying photographs of Chris Lawson and messaging about cumulative investment earnings presented in a way that implies he take credit for controlling or reducing taxes. The treasurer does not set tax rate or tax levies or make any suggestion that a single office is responsible for holding the line on taxes. It's inaccurate and misleading to taxpayers. It's also notable that the same hold the line language appears in candidate Lawson's campaign messaging. Let's remind Mr. Lawson that he's an administrator, not a policy maker. As far as taxpayer waste, the messaging is also convoluted. The additional pages intend to explain the tax bill, but they're busy, visually cluttered, and confusing, adding complexity rather than clarity. It just increases paper, printing, and postage, increasing the cost of the taxpayers. And the irony is that residents are encouraged to go online, to go paperless, to reduce costs and improve efficiency. I, along with the taxpayers of this county, are requesting full transparency and a full independent audit of the additional costs of this meeting, a formal legal and ethical review of whether the content complies with the Illinois State Officials and Employees Ethics Act, which prohibits the use of public resources for political or campaign purposes, and prohibits using official positions or state-funded materials to benefit a political campaign or create the appearance of such. And a policy review by this board to ensure that future tax bill communications are strictly limited to the necessary tax-related information and not include slogans, photographs, and messaging that easily could be interpreted as political branding, especially so close to a general election in which candidate Lawson is running for re-election. As it stands, this bill reduces clarity, increases costs, and this partisan political insert that reaches up to 20,000 households at our cost, not his campaign. It's partisan, it's embarrassing, it undermines public trust, and it just stinks.
Thank you. That does conclude our public comment for today. I have been asked if we can have a little adjustment in our agenda today. The lobbyist team, McGuire Woods, is currently down in Springfield and it is in session time. They would like to attend some of the meetings to represent the county board, the county's needs. So with your permission, I'd like to bring them on now. And then after that, we can go back to our regular agenda. So if you want to bring them in, Michelle.
I know we have a little feedback here, but James, if you want to kick it off, I thank you very much for being here, everyone.
Yes, good morning, James Sherwood, and thanks for accommodating us. It is a session day in Springfield, so our schedules are a little hectic, so thanks for letting us go early. I'll kick it off in terms of, sorry.
James, can you speak a little louder? Is that possible?
Yeah, of course. Is that better?
A little bit louder. Try
Yeah,
on
sorry.
our end as well.
So in terms of the Springfield update, the legislature is still expected to adjourn on May 31st. So we're really in the final stretch of the spring 26 legislative session. I would note we had a great lobby day with Madam Chair, Board Member Michelle Gums, and Tom Rickert from KDOT back on April 14th. Thanks to them for making the trip down to Springfield. We met with, I think, almost the entire Kane County delegation, and I thought it was really productive conversations and good to have the county visible and present in the state capitol. And then the same week, we also had Scott from Emergency Management. He was in Springfield. We gave him introductions to pretty much the entire delegation, and he also met with the state director for Emergency Management. So thank you to Scott Bisecki for coming down to Springfield as well. We're in the final stretch, but it's still unclear what is going to come together in these final weeks and what won't. But I'll kind of give a high-level overview of the issues that we're tracking for the county and where they stand. Big issue right now is housing, and Governor Pritzker has proposed his Build Illinois legislation that would place restrictions on local control when it comes to housing developments, especially multi-unit dwellings. And just wanted to note that on Friday, the Illinois Municipal League introduced their own housing package, which I think, reinserts local control into this conversation. So a lot of interesting concepts in this bill. Just to name a couple, it creates a middle housing incentive fund that local governments can tap into to support the development of multi-unit dwellings. It allows local governments to establish locally designated overlay districts, creates a blight clearance program, caps residential real estate transaction commissions at 3%, and exempts building materials from the state's 5% tax. So it's going to be interesting to see that where the housing discussion goes over the month of May. But I do think there's a lot of momentum to try to do something to create more affordable housing in Illinois. Everyone recognizes the housing affordability crisis. And I think the issue is trying to balance local control while also incentivizing development. So we'll be keeping close tabs on that for the county and making sure that there isn't too much of a limitation on local control. We're still following the increase in the 911 surcharge fee, which I know our police and fire districts are following closely. It still remains to be seen if there's enough support for that, but those conversations are still ongoing. We have been partnering with ISACO and UCCI on this issue of property tax sales. I know that the Kane County State's Attorney presented on this at our last meeting. And we are working on legislation with UCCI, and I'm cautiously optimistic that we can get that issue resolved this month to at least provide some temporary relief so that the county isn't exposed to significant liability on the tax sale issue. Big issue we hear from Kane County board members, of course, is data centers and AI generally. That is still very much a huge topic in Springfield. I do think that some AI legislation will come together this month, specifically when it comes to child safety and liability for AI platforms. But those conversations are still ongoing. As it comes to data centers, I am starting to think that this is going to be an issue for the fall veto session, but those conversations are still ongoing. They include water and energy reporting from data centers, bring your own generation requirements for data centers, water efficiency mandates such as closed loop water filtration systems. And so there's a lot of focus on the AI industry and making sure that these projects are regulated at the state level as well as the local level. One other issue that we've talked about is solar siting and the state requirement that really restricts local control over solar projects. We have been working with ISACO and others to push for an exemption when cities and counties have carved out economic corridors. So trying to bring some local control back when it comes to siting of these renewable projects. There is a working group in the House that's addressing this issue. We're going to provide some language from the county. It's still an uphill battle because the renewable industry is fighting hard to keep their side of control, but that is something that we're also working on for the county. And the last thing I would mention is the Bears Stadium is still getting a lot of attention. Legislation passed out of the House 2 weeks ago, but it has stalled for the time being in the Senate. Unclear where that issue is going, but Governor Pritzker has indicated that he wants a resolution. And at this point, it still appears as if the Bears are going to head to Arlington, but the Indiana site is still on the table, and it's unclear where this is going. So I think that's going to be a major issue over these next few weeks. That's it for me. I don't know, Kent, did you want to add anything?
Hi, this is Kent Gaffney. Just to pick up on what James said with the Bears, I think all of you probably know this. I mean, today's May 6th. We have 25 days left in the session, which is a lot of time. Everything big starts to become connected together. So when you're looking at the Bears Stadium and a ask of like $9 billion in projects to make that happen, I know the Chicago mayor's in Springfield today. There's a discussion about him trying to keep this in Chicago, but I think it's more of if this is going to go to Arlington Heights, what kind of money gets funneled over to Soldier Field for improvements? What are you going to do with that land? Also, other municipalities, around the state are saying, hey, if we're going to give Arlington Heights all this money, we want some money. So you have Springfield jumping in there saying they want some economic development money. So everything starts to become connected. Some of the revenues that were included in Governor Pritzker's budget, obviously the local government distributive fund was $60 million, where that percentage is reduced. That's still, not finalized. You have some social media taxes, platform taxes, casino tax increases, some business taxes in there. And all these things are connected as the caucuses work to kind of finalize what the spending looks like. And then they're going to have to adjust the revenues to pay for it. So that's where we are now. Mainly the big issues, data centers, bears, business taxes, and these other taxes are unresolved. We have 25 days left, and we'll keep everybody apprised as things become clear and real. That's all I
And,
have.
Thanks, Ken. Clayton, you want to give a quick update on the federal side?
Sure thing. Greetings, everyone. Board members, good to be with you all. Madam Chairwoman, it's great to be here. I'm Clayton Cox. I'm part of your federal affairs team for Kane County. To give a quick update, what's going on in DC right now. Congress is not in session this week. They will gavel back in midweek next week. Last week was a very busy one. You saw the end of the Department of Homeland Security shutdown, which had gone on for 75 days. They sort of essentially kicked the can down the road and extended their funding for another 45 days. They will have to revisit that. The idea is that Congress will begin the Reconciliation 2.0 process, which will sort of end the overall funding issue. As a reminder, when the appropriations bills were passed at the beginning of the year, they decided to carve out ICE and Border Patrol enforcement out of the Department of Homeland Security appropriations bill. So those two were left sort of unfunded. And now that has been rectified with this 45 days of funding, they will go forward with Reconciliation 2.0, which is a major thing to put on everyone's radar. Reconciliation was used last year to put through the president's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This time around, they're looking at 2 rounds of reconciliation. The first one is a so-called, what's being referred to in DC as a skinny reconciliation, basically meaning instead of adding in things like healthcare, taxes, all kinds of different issues, the leadership in the House and the Senate is preferring to focus on 2 main areas, which is ICE funding and Border Patrol funding, and then some additional funding for the Department of Homeland Security. They want to pass this through as soon as possible and essentially lock in the funding levels for ICE and for the Border Patrol for 3 years going forward. I think that reading the tea leaves is sort of, if the midterms go a certain way and party control changes in DC, it's a way of making sure that those agencies are funded at the higher level to finish out the president and the administration's agenda for those policy areas. There's also $1 million for the White House's ballroom and some other Secret Service enhancements in the $72 billion Reconciliation 2.0 package. Most importantly, there are no pay-fors in there, meaning there are no budget cuts, there's no tax increases. So it's sort of $72 billion added on. Looking forward past to Reconciliation 2.0, there's talk of Reconciliation 3.0. This would essentially be a bill that would have a wider scope. It would have to originate in the House with the Senate passing instructions first, where they sort of hand down to committees. Here are the policy areas that we will be taking on. This idea behind Reconciliation 3.0 is essentially a way for the party in power to have more to run on going into the fall. I think just sort of analyzing it from afar, it looks like the margins in the House and the Senate are very tight, especially in the House. Depending on the day, it's 1 or 2 votes. So I think it'd be very tough to get through a major policy package, which includes things like healthcare cuts, other reconfigurations, taxes, tax cuts, and rescissions of clean energy tax cuts. I would look to the House to sort of focus on other pieces of legislation, primarily reauthorizations of bills, which we'll get to in a second. The other piece of legislation that passed last week, besides the beginning of Reconciliation 2.0 and the extension of the FISA and the Department of Homeland Security funding, was the House passed the Farm Bill, which we'll get to in sort of the final piece of analysis here. The other thing I would put on your radar looking forward is the president has put out his budget that sort of begins the budgeting process for fiscal year 27. The president's budget included a 10% across the board cut on domestic spending. A lot of that was to pay for a $500 billion increase in the defense budget. Some things you might have seen in the headlines, halved the EPA budget, cut to HUD with 13% across the board cuts to Department of Housing and Urban Development, and the elimination of the community block grants, CDBG, and then a 67% cut to the Small Business Administration. We say all this with the sort of caveat that the president, that the old saying in Washington is the president proposes, the Appropriations Committee disposes. And so usually what the president puts forward is not always what the committee ends up adopting. Is certainly, if we saw from last year, there were some major cuts to some major domestic programs that were not put into the final version of the budget. So we're continuing to monitor these things over the coming weeks. We will begin to see draft language. We will begin to see amounts start to trickle out from the 12 appropriations bills. Right now, Congress is doing the hearings process where they've got cabinet secretaries, agency heads coming to Congress and sort of defending their budgets and defending what their requests were. The other piece to sort of look at here, with it being an election year, a lot of these must-dos, so appropriations, reauthorizations of major pieces of legislation, a lot of them are not really tackled until probably after the midterms. So you're looking at a lot of end-of-year deals. You're looking at a lot of major packages, I think similar to what Kent and James identified in the state level, where all the big things kind of get pushed together. I think that will probably be likely. The other, sort of factor at hand here is there's for prognosticators of elections, there's a sense that the Democrats are ascendant, and so they are less likely to cut a deal and wait until they perceive that they will have power in DC and have control of either the House or the Senate. The other thing I would sort of point to as we get to it's crazy to say in May, the close of the year, but really Congress goes on a long recess during election year. There's not as much time for legislation. Reconciliation is going to take up a lot of oxygen and a lot of air. Outside of that, appropriations will take up a lot of oxygen and a lot of air. So it's really hard to see a world in which big pieces of policy legislation move through. It doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means you'll probably see that towards the end of the year. We continue to monitor these things for Kane County. Particularly, we're looking at the reauthorizations of the Farm Bill, which came out of the House, still needs to go through the Senate. That included some edits to the SNAP program. There was also reauthorization of the Surface Transportation Bill, which expires September 30th. That's funding for roads, bridges, and other infrastructure projects. The last reauthorization of that was done in 2021 as the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, IIJA, which was the bipartisan infrastructure law that was sort of a linchpin of the Biden administration. And then finally, WRDA, which is Water Resources. And so dealing with flooding and different controls, that reauthorization bill needs to be done by the end of this year. I would look sort of finally to possible legislation on housing or AI. Those are big pieces with a lot of stakeholders that are very interested in that. There's the 21st Century Road to Housing Act. There's some other legislation pinging around on AI. It's kind of tough because of how big these bills are and the amount of stakeholders and people that need to agree. It could be tough with these margins in the House and the Senate, but I wouldn't be shocked if you saw something come out about housing or AI. We continue to track that. My final piece for all of you is just thinking about this sort of next few months ahead. Other things to put on your radar very quickly, the fraud prevention push. The administration has started a fraud prevention task force as chaired by the vice president that is looking at fraud prevention primarily in Medicaid and looking at certain states that the administration deems money going towards places that they do not want it. And also some overcharges and other things and ways to reform those programs to make them more solvent. Looking at things like home and community-based care. Another thing that we continue to monitor are the county's congressionally directed spending request. And then we continue to look at the administration will roll out their changes that they made to Medicaid in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act from last year. The administration has put forward their new regulations for states on Medicaid. So you'll actually see those changes implemented in the next few months. I think that could have an effect on citizens of many localities. Illinois is particularly a state that could really feel those effects. Two other things we're tracking is sort of the administration's rulemaking. They kicked the can down the road on Department of Justice regulation for compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act on public-facing websites and other materials that counties and local governments put out. That will be enforced starting next year. It was supposed to be enforced starting in April of 2026, but they kicked the enforcement date to April of 2027 to give more time for compliance. The other thing that we also track when it comes to administration and their sort of rulemaking and their administrative powers is the administration's approval of Illinois' BEAD program, which is broadband funding. Illinois is one of 3 states that have not yet had their BEAD program approved by the administration. We've done some, conversations, and it sounds like that should be coming fairly soon. So those are the main things that we are tracking for the county and how we sort of see things ending in the next 6 months. And happy to take any questions.
And there was a lot to unpack, a lot to unpack. I have a real request. Could you please just give us some highlights in writing of what you all said? And then we can share that with the board, because I've been taking notes, and especially on the federal side, I was singing an old song of "What a Beautiful Day," and right now I'm feeling a little bit less happy with all of this. But for both on the state side and then for the federal side, just some things that we should pay attention to, perhaps a reference point so we can share with the full board next week. And that way they'll have it in hand and can review it. That'd be most helpful.
I'm sorry, we have closed microphones. Madam Chair, Gum's here. We're gonna have them, they've been invited for next week also, so we'll have something in writing for them. Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Exactly.
Appreciate it. Does anybody have a question for them? No, I've made a few notes, and I'll make those comments later on because we've got a robust agenda. Is there anything else, Michelle?
No, that's it. I just want to thank this committee for allowing them to go early so they can get down and do the work. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Really appreciate you being here. Good luck.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right. Look-a-dee-doo-dah, huh? All right, Kathleen Hopkinson, in monthly financials, please.
Hello. I'll just start off with an update on our annual audit. We have the draft. We're finalizing it, hopefully by the end of next week. So I am hopeful, and we're waiting for the audit opinion on this report that we put together. We expect to get a clean opinion. We should have our final annual financial statements with our opinion by the May Finance Committee. And we will make sure that everybody gets a hard copy, and we'll also put it on our website. And we will have the auditors. Typically, they come and speak to the entire board. So we will shoot for June for them to do that. And at some point, it would probably be a good idea to kind of go through this report. It's huge. There's a lot in it. There's actually government accounting standards require that we present 2 sets of financial statements. There's one on the full accrual basis, and the bulk of it is on the modified accrual basis, stuff that only accountants love. But I think it would be helpful to kind of go through some of that stuff for the entire board. Okay, presentation. This is the same presentation that I gave at Finance Committee last week. Next slide. Thank you. Just on our indicators, I'll focus on the yellow and the red indicators because those are the risk areas that we need to pay attention to. So the yellow indicator is that the cash flow on our general fund, as well as our pension fund and our payroll tax fund, are very low. And it is very normal for them to be low at this time of year. And that is because they are one of their largest sources of revenue is property tax revenue, which only comes in June and September. So these funds run from essentially, call it November all the way through May, with lacking one of their major revenue sources. So they spend themselves down, and I've got some charts in a second to talk about that. But because the general fund, general account budget for the last several years has been, when we put together the budget, we've been using reserves to pay for expenses, which is not a balanced budget. We are coming very low. And so there's some resolutions later in the agenda today that we're asking the county board to essentially approve an interfund loan for the general fund, general account, our payroll tax fund, and our pension tax fund, if necessary, only if necessary, to help fund these funds through generally May and early June, right before property tax revenue comes in. And then, as I mentioned, our general fund, general account, our 2026 budget was put together. The amended budget right now is using just over $6 million in reserves to fund expenses. And if you're using reserves to fund expenses, that is not a balanced budget. So next slide. We're always tracking our general fund because that is where most of the operating expenses are in the county, most but not all. Our transportation department is not in the general fund, neither is our health department, animal control, CANECOM, several of the state's attorney's operations are not in the general fund, but most of the county's operations are in the general fund, general account. We're always tracking how are we doing on meeting the county policy of ensuring that we have at least 90 days of reserves in our general fund, general account for the just in case. And right now, and again, as I'll point out again, our general fund has 6 accounts. All of our budgetary activity for most of the employees in the county is in the general fund, general account. Our general fund special reserve account is essentially an account that has interest earned as its only source of revenue, and it really doesn't have any expenses. It was created back in 2013 by just taking some of the reserves out of the general fund general account and creating the general fund special reserve account. There's no statutory reason why we have the special reserve account other than the county board at that time desired to have this separate account. The money in that account can be used at the board's discretion. So right now, at the end of 2025, we are below our 90-day threshold, meaning that we didn't have at least 90 days of reserves in our general fund, general account. However, if you include the special reserve account, we did. Same thing as we look ahead towards the end of 2026, we would have enough, but we're below our 90-day reserve just in the general fund, general account. Next slide. The next couple slides are just a graph of the cash balances in the general fund, general account, our pension fund, and our payroll tax fund. And as you can see, as you go through the course of the year, the cash gets lower right before we get property taxes, and then it comes back up. However, as you can also see on this particular graph, because we've been spending down our general fund, general account by funding our yearly operating expenses with reserves, it's getting quite low. And we don't want to run into a situation where we don't have cash in that fund to pay operating expenses. So this is our general fund, general account. Next slide. This is our pension fund. And I should point out that this fund, the pension fund, the IMRF fund, is just only for employees that are funded out of our general fund. The pension costs and the payroll tax costs for the employees in our transportation department, health department, CANECOM, animal control, et cetera, those pension costs and payroll taxes are paid separately in those special funds. This is just for the employees in the general fund. So this one is getting very low. And then next slide, our our payroll taxes, FICA and Social Security is also getting very low. Next slide. This is the balance of our general fund special reserve account. And as you can see, we don't budget any expenses in this fund. It's just earning interest. So of course it's going up because that's the only activity in the fund. And that is the fund that would be loaning the general fund, general account, the pension fund, and the payroll tax fund temporarily until such time as property tax revenue comes in. Next slide. Since we're on the topic of funds with low cash, it is a good thing to just report on all the funds that have negative cash. Several of these funds have a resolution with the board already to have a interfund loan made from the general fund. Several of these other funds that are negative right now are funds that were part of the former Office of Community and Reinvestment, OCR. And we're still just sort of cleaning up those funds as they were split into two different departments in the county and reallocating some of those costs so that those should clear up shortly. Next slide. Just where we are today. This was prepared 3 weeks ago now. General fund, general account variances, where we are from a budgetary standpoint. From a where should we be with revenue? We're a little bit under right now. Some of this is timing, and I've accounted for that. Some of it, the interest revenue in the general fund, and just to remind everybody, the county has historically allocated interest earned to all of its funds across the county based on the amount of cash in that fund. So the larger your cash balance is, the more interest you get. So our general fund, because the cash balance is going down, is getting less interest. So our interest that goes to this fund in particular is a little low right now. Licenses and permits is also a little low for this time of year. On the expense side, our commodities and contractual services are over budget. Mainly that you can look at the sheriff's office is where that is stemming from. And from a personal services, salaries and wages standpoint, we are below budget. So that would be a good thing. And the most significant office that is below budget is the circuit clerk. Next slide. This is just all funds in the county, all of them, not just the general fund, but all of them by department. Pretty much everything is on track across the county to budget, except for the sheriff's office and CANECOM is over right now. Next slide. This is just the general fund, general account by department. Again, pretty much every department and office is on track. The sheriff's over budget right now, and that is in the contractual services and commodities area. And last slide. just where we are with our tax revenues, which is always important to look at, especially as we look forward to the 2027 budget. Sales tax revenue continues to grow. Local tax revenue, local use tax revenue is right a little bit higher than budget, but less than last year. And that was because the law changed and the taxes that are applied to certain items aren't flowing into that category anymore. RTA sales tax also continues to rise. State income tax revenue is pretty much on target. Personal property replacement tax a little bit higher. State motor fuel tax and county motor fuel tax pretty much on par. And as a reminder, effective July 1st, 2026, the increase in the King County motor fuel tax goes into effect. The way a good number of these taxes work, we won't see the revenue, we won't get the cash in our bank for several months. So even though it's in effect at the pump on July 1st, we won't be seeing that difference for several months after that fact. That goes into effect July 1st, as does the grocery tax that was put back by the county board last year. That also goes into effect July 1st. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Kathleen. Are there any questions for Ms. Hopkinson? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
No, yes.
There's an echo there. Maybe you can turn your microphone off. Maybe that'll help. Kathleen, a question I have is regarding what our plans are with the general fund special revenue account. The fact that we have $27 million sitting there unallocated, what plan do we have for that money, and why is that? Is that allowable, that we just have money sitting in the bank without it belonging to anywhere, or what's the recommendation for that fund?
Well, the county board has discretion over, that's how it was set up. When it was set up back in 2013, it's to be used at the discretion of the county board. It was a county board policy, so that would be up to the county board. What we're asking for in the resolutions today is that it be used to temporarily loan 3 other funds money if necessary. But in terms of strategic uses for that fund, that would be up to the county board.
Madam Chair, if I may, I think we need to formulate a plan with that money. The fact that it just looks like it's just sitting there at the same time that we're looking to raise the CPI and that we're asking budgets to be cut, I think that needs to be included when we're reviewing budgets. I hate the fact that it looks like we have money in the mattress when we probably don't.
I don't think that there's even money in the pillow. So I will talk to John Frank, and we'll arrange that, what we can do legally with proper discipline. And we can meet with the members of the Finance Committee for that discussion, and then move that forward. And of course, with Ms. Hopkinson's consent and input on all of this. And perhaps we can have the Finance Committee make a recommendation to us. June, perhaps in June. So Vern is writing that down. And Mr. Sanchez, are you in agreement? Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Bates. We cannot hear you.
Everybody else will have. I was thinking the same thing. Thank you. Good. I was thinking the same thing as I was watching that line go up, up, up on the special reserve fund. That to me seems like real income that the county board should be using, not necessarily some sacred reserves that we shouldn't be touching. It looks like it would be a healthy move for us to be, as Ms. Molina said, planning on how we can use those funds.
If I can reference, They are going to be used if necessary for exactly what the intention was, because we are short on cash right now, potentially short on cash. That money that has been saved will be used for that purpose and then reimbursed, I hope, into the account for that rainy day fund. But we'll have to find out if that is appropriate and legal and good accounting standards to be able to put that in financial management. So the Finance Committee will get together with council and make that recommendation to us in June to see what that next step is. It's like, I feel personally, we've all been advised in our own personal accounts to have 90 days set aside. Sometimes people even say 6 months for a just in case. So this is, to me, that just in case money. But it should be, make sure that it's legally in the appropriate account going forward, if that is not the case. Are there any other questions on this? Yes, sir.
Just on the report or in general, or just that topic?
It's your platform.
Oh, I just wanted to thank Ms. Hopkinson for keeping track of the process improvements in your department. It's very helpful to see that. I would like to see that in other departments if they are making any of those improvements. So just thank you for keeping track and presenting it very transparently for us.
Can I also, I have a request for Ms. Molina. When you meet with your committee, can we please dive down a little bit into the sheriff's commodities and contractual expenses? Because I'm curious, I'm sure other board members are curious as well in these tight times, why so soon in the year, the fiscal year, apparently going over. I'm sure that there's a very solid reason why, but we just want to make sure that we need to know why.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. I think that's something that we can send over to the sheriff kind of now so that he's ready to answer those questions when we meet next week.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. That'd be very helpful. I think for all of us, if we see something that's out of kilter, we have to be good stewards of a very restricted budget to make sure that we're aware what the needs are, and if they're realistic needs, that could be a budget adjustment that occurs, but that we're all on board and acknowledging that. I think it's also become very apparent that expenses are outpacing our revenue by this report. And we have to make sure that as we go forward in next year's budget, that expenses are very tightly managed to meet the demands of the revenue. And there are ways that we can address it, but that'll be for another discussion. And I'm sure that finance will lead that charge after they present and we agree upon next year's budget on how we can move forward with this. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think for some of us does keep us up at night, and we think about it consistently. And I'd also like to make a recommendation when the audit is completed, since it is a very interesting topic to discuss and one we should be aware of. It is not dry. Money is power, and we have to understand where our money is going, what the audit report has. So it may be technical, but we have to embrace it. That we could have a committee of the whole to give Kathleen and the audit team plenty of time to answer any of our questions, to go over it in layman's language so that we can all have a grasp of it and have a good understanding of what's going on. I would also like to request that building management seem to have gone over on its postage. If Mr. Caius, if you can ask for that report as well to understand why. I think I know why, but I don't want to second guess. So if you can have that report ready for us as well, I'd appreciate it. Any other questions on this? No? Okay. Thank you, Kathleen. Is there any old business? I'm sorry, did I have? Oh, there you are, Julie.
I wore a bright color too,
You're
as you
right,
can see me.
you're right there at the bottom of the page. My finger was on.
It's okay.
And
Good
by the
morning,
way,
everybody.
You and Mr. Linder seem to be very complimentary in your colors
there we are.
today.
Right, of course. We start off with Kane County Connect, some popular features recently going out in the newsletter, which included the property tax bills, the deadlines and details, including other ways to pay than to come to the county building. Seeing that the elevator is out still. Recognition of the 2 communities that earned the top spot for curbside recycling in Kane County, 25 years of farmland preservation, high school graduation ceremonies across Kane County, a meeting led by the Office of Emergency Management as it ramps up its new volunteer initiative called Disaster Ready Kane, recent promotions at KDOT, and of course, Adopt the Pet, which also continues to draw strong interest. And I'm always open to feedback and suggestions regarding Kane County Connects if you have any. Planning is underway for a ribbon cutting ceremony in June at Kane County Animal Control to celebrate its new water feature. We'll have more about that coming up. More information also will be announced about that. I did stop by to take some pictures at the recent rabies vaccine and microchip clinic, which is very popular, a long line of cars, very happy pets waiting to get their shots. That next clinic is scheduled for Wednesday, May 13th. We continue to work closely with the health department in promoting several important initiatives, including the relaunch of its 988 awareness campaign. You can pick up a free sign that are available both at the health department's locations in Elgin and Aurora to help raise awareness about the support available to people by calling 988. As a lobbyist mentioned about 2 weeks ago, we received some unexpected news when the federal government extended the deadline for the new ADA digital compliance requirements by 1 year. IT, as you know, has been working really hard to meet that deadline, which was originally set for last month. Work will continue on that, and Madam Chair recently recorded a Coffee with the Chair program video with Roger Fonstock that will be published soon to discuss the requirements and what the new deadlines mean to us. Please extend appreciation to Mike and Brenda on the other side of the door here. They are at the front desk manning that, and people coming in, some happy, some not. They do outstanding work assisting our visitors conducting county business during this elevator outage. A quick shout out as well to the Geneva Park District for housing this month's Kane County Government Blood Drive because of the elevator outage. That event was held yesterday. We had approximately 28 people to sign up to donate. The American Red Cross is very appreciative to Kane County for hosting that a regular blood donation drive for them. And also this Friday, the Veterans Resource Fair in Batavia, where the Veterans Assistance Commission and many of our Kane County departments will participate. That event begins at 10 o'clock at the Batavia VFW. Also, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. So happy Mother's Day to all. Cliff, sorry.
Any questions?
Yes, please. If we could add to the schedule, and Madam Chair is aware, May is Motorcycle Awareness Month. And I have been asked by Abate to put together a proclamation that Madam Chair will work on. But if we could, I know we were trying to put together like a proclamations list. If we can insert that one in there, so maybe we could have addressed this before, that'd be great. This is really hot. Is that better? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Sturgis is going to be wearing his leathers on that day. So I look forward to seeing him dressed in motorcycle attire.
Riding Saturday with you.
So motorcycles, I have it's all together and it's gone through. It's draft. I have one change on proclamation that I'd like to address, but other than that, it's completed. Yes, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to put one little plug in for the PIO office. She's a one-man band, but we do have a lot of opportunities for somebody in that position. There is the national organization, NIOA, for information officers, has a conference coming up this year. As we're talking about budget, I just want to put a thought out there for everybody to maybe put a little bit in for Julie to be able to attend that conference. It's a really good opportunity for PIOs to network professionally, get a lot of access to resources you wouldn't otherwise have, people with a lot of different skill sets and talents that are very happy to help and kind of guide each other along. So just wanted to put that word in.
Could you send us that information?
Yep,
And then we
absolutely.
can take a look at the budget and see if our budget will allow that.
I'll do that for sure. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, very good. Thank you, Julie. Very good. Is there any new business? Old business. Yeah, well, I have old. You got old business, sir? The old man?
I do. Thank you. I didn't want, and Mavis is here, I don't know that Mo is here, but I did not want to slip off the table that at our finance meeting, Dr. Iqbal had come forward asking, presenting the unmandated and mandated study. I asked Mo to kind of backburn that a little bit and let us do some research in the background. I did have a long conversation with him to make him aware of the efforts that had been made. And that I think that the right way to do this is to allow us to update that in-house. And once in-house, if we need to take that report and then bring it to a professional, somebody that might be able to look at this better, then we could take it to the next step. But Mavis, I did generously give of your time and say, Mavis and myself would love to get together with Mo and work on this. I don't know how that works with three of us or how to do that, but Mavis, if we could set a time so that doesn't fall off the table. Yeah, thank you so much. Then the second item I have is, at least for Jarrett and Chris and I, the river crested last week, and most of the businesses that were taking water at the north end, we have stopped percolating in our basements, and things are coming back in line. And there's a lot of people that walk right there on the riverfront, and I had one gentleman come. I've got one guy down the block who says, I've gotten a foot and a half of water in my basement. Then I have this guy walking by going, but it's not as bad as it's been in the past. So I don't know how to take all that, but gentlemen, in my personal interest, because the Bricks has reached out several times about that sandbar in front, when we were talking about what amount of water it takes to flush that through, if this didn't flush it, I don't know what would have. So I'll be very curious over the next couple of weeks as that water level comes down, if maybe we could get together. And then finally, yeah, exactly. Finally, I did see maybe Julie or somebody had posted that the Forest Preserve District has a kayak introductory course coming that my younger friend, I would love to be involved with that with you, so. No, I can kayak, but not like Jay can. That's really.
Vroom, vroom. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a follow-up question. Will you be contacting the state's attorney outside of this meeting to talk to him about the Iqbal, Bates, and Surges
Once,
ad hoc committee? Because that's three of you.
I
It could
was
be an
going, thank you.
advisory.
I was going to make that recommendation.
I think that absolutely at the appropriate time, but I think pulling the information together and making sure that each department has updated their portion of it, I think having that first and then bringing it forward would be the right way to go. Because I have to be honest, I don't know when it was last updated. And so let's take a look at that.
Years ago.
It could be.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, so let's look at what we have in front of us to do and set a deadline for that. And then by all means, yes.
I just,
Because
meant you were planning on meeting.
Just a meeting.
If you're meeting, I would like to make sure that it complies with OMA.
If it's publicly noticed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If it's publicly
Yeah.
noticed, then there's no issue with having the 3 members as a ad hoc committee, but we'll confirm with the state's attorney and get it all settled.
Okay, yeah,
Very quickly.
Leslie, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you because I think the bigger concern with this report, once it comes out, I think identifying what's mandated and not mandated is one thing. But then, Corinne, per our conversation, when you identify something that has been mandated, there seems to be gradients as to how much you have to do there. And I don't think our gradients are defined, and I think that's where the rubber meets the road. So Mavis and I, and I don't want to discount the amount of work that Mavis did. It was Herculean. But now that we have that infrastructure there that we can add to and subtract from, once we identify it, I think it's a whole new can of worms to say, to what extent are we doing it? Are we forced to do it, mandated to do it versus what we might prioritize or not? And I think that's going to be the big conversation, unless I'm mistaken, so.
Yeah. Ms. Juby, do you have anything else to say?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't
Okay,
talking
not
about
just
the
follow.
work.
sorry.
I just want to make sure we're not violating the Open Meetings Act.
Okay, absolutely. Ms. Bates.
I'll just go on with Cliff, Mr. Surges, that there's the issue of mandates and then there's the issue of management. And you have to, the mandates can be managed in many different levels. So that's what we can talk about too.
Correct, that is correct. So again, I'll go back to my comment about, with finance, expenses have to meet revenue, and how do we adjust that? And what level of service do we want to give? And one thing with Julie, I have to make a comment. When my dog gets her shot, she's not a happy dog. So I'm surprised animal control must have some kind of mojo over there, because a dog with getting a shot is usually, I want to get out of Dodge as quickly as can. Too much stress. Yes, this comes.
Just to that last point, I'm a little confused on the report when it comes out. So the mandate to me is very particular. So I would ask that the mandate is something required by law, and I would like those to be separated. So we have policy that we set in the county. I'm sure you're going to identify that as a mandate, and I don't agree that that is a mandate. That's a policy. So I would like to see that separated if you go, if you guys go forward.
Happy to take that offline, respectfully disagree, but let's have that conversation and how to put it in the bucket.
Okay, so we will confer with Mr. Frank, set the meeting, and it'll probably be publicly noticed because of 3 members, but it'll be a small working group, and allow you to start speaking about this. And
Is
then-
it okay if we define that out of someone's committee? I'm happy to do it from Human Services and say we're going
It
to
should be a
launch it.
blend of human services and finance, I believe.
But I think you have to notice it. So
Yes,
where do you want it
we'll
noticed?
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
We'll figure that out. And I just want to make sure that you all received the report that was sent out. I had Jane send it out. All right, very good. Okay, and we do have a little bit of money, you mentioned in this year's budget for professional services out of the county budget. So if we needed, it's a small amount, but if we needed to have an outside expert for a very modest amount, take a look at it, we may have the resources to be able to pay for that. But if you want that, let me know so we can double check. Okay, now, new business. Any other old business? No, then new business. Yeah, yes, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just in line with thinking of the budget, and with the elections coming up, new term starting, are we supposed to be discussing the countywide salary topic that on the calendar? Or do we not have to do it this year? I thought we had to do it.
You have done it already and passed it, and that recommendation will be going on to the draft budget that I have put together, Kathleen, for the county board. I gave it to Kathleen. I worked on it over the weekend and before the weekend, and it was done at 8:30 on Monday evening. Yay. So it's Kathleen has it now. She is reviewing it, and once I get her blessing on that, I want one change that I'd like to make on it to my report. We'll have 2 reports, my explanation report of what it is, and then her report, which of course is much more data-driven. But that has already been approved for your increase in your compensation, which will start after the elections this year when everyone is sworn in December.
No, I was thinking for the countywides, not for
The
the county board.
countywide, some of them were included in that resolution that you put forward, but that can be reviewed as well. The countywides who are coming up this year, the treasurer, that's the big one, and the clerk, I'll take a look
Sheriff.
at that bill, and the sheriff, I think we increased that as well. And the state is also addressing increase in compensation, their contribution towards the sheriff, as well as policy that, I don't know where that bill is, where the state's attorney, the public defender, will get 80% of what is required of the state's attorney. But I'm fuzzy on the bill. So Michelle can help me define that. And perhaps next week we can talk about that with the lobbyist. They can confirm what that bill is.
Certainly, I think I'm confused. I can certainly do that, but I think to Mr. We're required to do this periodically. And I think your question is, are we required to do it right now? Is that an accurate?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes, okay, I'll find I'll find that in the
And
statute.
I think we have to have any kind of, it's 90 days before the election. So the election being early November, you can backtrack it. So that would have to be decided upon by August. But I will review that because you spent a lot of time last year on that bill. Mr. Linder is very much aware of that bill as well, because I know he's made comment about it. But we'll pull up,
Okay.
not the bill, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
just,
the
I couldn't
resolution.
recall if we had
Yeah.
covered the countywide this election cycle.
So I'll get that. Let me make a note, and I will have send that resolution out to the entire board so you can review it, what we did pass, what we didn't pass. But your increase, the board's mutual increase of together, it's $120,000 has been included in the proposal, has to be included, the proposal for next year's budget for your review this year. Okay. The other thing I would like, this is all for all of you as well as for the public. And this is in light of the regulation that we have to change how we post everything online that's ready for next year. The reading room is open and available to the public and of course to the board members. This information that we have here will be in print. It'll be available for the public to read during normal office hours. It's a nice office in our office area. So it'll be available for you. We'll have all of the other old county agendas in there as well, and that'll be there as well. We don't have to do that now, but it's available for it. For people who would like to use it, we'll have that set up and you can come by and read it. You can't check the book out, but you can certainly read it at your leisure, bring a cup of coffee. So that's for everybody of the entire community. Is there any other new business? All right, let's go on to our preliminary board agenda. Mr. Tepe, American Rescue Plan. Yes, so who would like to? Well, it's not no, we're doing this now. We're going to go through this now. And so you present your area. This is the proposed consent agenda. And then if anybody wants to pull something out, we can do that now. For your portion. Ms. Dunns has her hand up.
There we go. All right, for the American Rescue Plan, want to first comment that Mr. Sanchez and I both met independently the past week or so with Ernst & Young, our consultants associated with completing this project. We have 8 resolutions. All of them relate to reprogramming of funds wherein projects are coming in under balance or under budget, and we're reallocating those to other projects in order to put them. I have 8 resolutions. Did anybody want to remove any one of these resolutions from the consent agenda? Okay. Let me briefly read these resolutions. So the first one is a resolution approving the First Amendment to the grant agreement number 445-19924 between the County of Kane and Fox Valley Hands of Hope. Second resolution is approving the First Amendment to grant agreement number 445-19924 between the County of Kane and Fox Valley Hands of Hope. Third resolution is approving the First Amendment to the intergovernmental agreement with Hampshire Township Road District. Fourth resolution is approving the First Amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding between the Kane County Board and the Kane County Health Department. Fifth resolution is authorizing the reprogramming of state and local fiscal recovery funds in the amount of $200,000 from the Kane County 16th Judicial Court Technology Modernization ARPA project to the Kane County Building Management Department's Access Control ARPA project. The sixth resolution is authorizing the reprogramming of state and local fiscal recovery funds in the amount of $153,523 from the Kane County Child Advocacy Center's Counseling Needs and Meeting Increased Demand ARPA project to the Kane County State's Attorney's Office Heightened Need for Felony Cases and Deferred Prosecution ARPA project. The seventh resolution is authorizing the reprogramming of state and local fiscal recovery funds in the amount of $29,599.16 from the Kane County Child Advocacy Center's Counseling Needs and Meeting Increased Demand ARPA project to the Kane County State's Attorney's Office Heightened Need for Domestic Violence Deferred Prosecution ARPA project. And the eighth resolution is authorizing the reprogramming of state and local fiscal recovery funds in the amount of $263,473.49 from the Kane County 16th Judicial Circuit Court Technology Modernization ARPA project to the Kane County Information Technology Department's KaneCom Microwave Radio for Mutual Aid ARPA project. I'll move all 8 of these and ask for a second.
Sturgis seconds.
Allen. Bates. Gums. Juby.
Juby, aye.
Pius.
Pius, yes.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina. Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Sturgis.
Sturgis, yes.
Pepe.
Pepe, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
Very good, thank you. I'd like to make one comment. This is in reference back to the mandated study. Some of these programs, especially the state's attorney, she's got wonderful programs. Not for next year's budget, because we will be passing that with this money in line, but for the following year's budget. So there will be a depletion of cash for that, and it'll be something that she will have to address, we will all have to address if these programs are to be continued, because they all seem to be very worthy programs. All right, admin, Mr. Tepe, again. No, I'm sorry, Caius, I'm sorry, Caius, my apologies.
I beg your pardon.
Yes.
You might want to turn your microphone on. Maybe. This is Caius. I think I have 12 resolutions, A through L, from the Administration Committee portion of the Executive Committee. Is there any of these A through L that a member would like to remove? Okay, thank you. Then item A is TMP 26-493, ratifying an emergency purchase affidavit to purchase the needed material, labor, and supervision to furnish and install a replacement jack assembly on the passenger elevator located in the building A from Urban Elevator Services LLC for the Building Management Department. That's on page 161 for $89,921 for this repair. Item B is TMP 26-505, authorizing additional funds for Kane County's Adult Justice Center HVAC pipe chase and related HVAC improvement projects with Hartwig Mechanical Incorporated, bid number 24-064-KK. It's on page 173. It's an additional ARPA funds for the amount of $408,003. Item C is TMP 26-494, authorizing a contract extension for Kane County Detention Door Maintenance and Repair Services with Valley Security Company for the Building Management Department, bid number 23-029. It's page 176 for $200,000 per fiscal year. Item D is TMP 26-462, authorizing a contract renewal for Kane County Asbestos, Lead and Mold Consultant Services with Midwest Environmental Consulting Services Incorporated for the Building Management Department, RFP number 22-011, page 179, not to exceed the amount of $100,000 per fiscal year. Item E is TMP 26-504, authorizing an agreement for architecture, engineer, and CMR services contracts with White and Company, Valdez Architecture and Engineering, Kluber Architects and Engineering, Wold Architects and Engineering, Gilbane Building Company, RC Wegman Construction Company, Interface Engineering, and Nurture Architects for the Building Management Department. That is RFP number 26-007-TK. That's on page 182. That's not to exceed the amount of $700,000 per fiscal year. Item F is TMP 26-456, authorizing a contract renewal for Kane County janitorial supplies with Warehouse Direct for the Building Management Department, bid number 22-018. That's on page 197. That's not to exceed the amount of $140,000 per fiscal year. Item number G is TMP 25-498, authorizing purchase of maintenance, repair, and operations, MRO, supplies, equipment, and related products and services for Building Management Department. Contract number R240808. And that is page number 251, not to exceed $200,000 per fiscal year. Item H, TMP 26-467, authorizing the purchase of digital workspace solutions with Toshiba through Omnia for the Information Technology Department. That's contract number R241204 on page 548, not to exceed $150,000 per fiscal year. Item I, TMP 26-469, authorizing print goods and services with Xerox through Omnia for the Information Technology Department. That's contract number 202-0002686, page number 551, sum not to exceed $150,000 per fiscal year. Item J is TMP 26-507, authorizing print goods and services with Canon through Omnia for the Information Technology Department. Contract number 202-0002755. On page 731, not to exceed $150,000 per fiscal year. Item K, TMP 26-508, authorizing purchase of technology solutions, products, and services from Civic Plus LLC for the Information Technologies Department. Contract number 220105 on page 732, sum not to exceed $65,000 per fiscal year to be paid from the riverboat account. TMP item L and last one, TMP 26-470 is authorizing a contract extension for an engineering firm for the Mills Creek SSA with Hampton, Lenzini, and Renwick Incorporated. That's RFP number 23-016. That's page number 786. And that is to not exceed $250,000 per fiscal year. I would move those and ask for a second.
Sanchez, second.
Sanchez seconds.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Yeah.
Juby.
Juby, I.
Caius.
Guys, yes.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Sturgis. Tepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
All right, so I have two resolutions, page 789 for A, resolution TMP 26-555. It is authorizing the expenditure of funds and execution of deed of agriculture conservation easement for property located on Winters Road, Virgil Township, and all related documents for closing as part of the Kane County Agriculture Conservation Easement and Farmland Protection Program. Like to motion, may I have a second? Any questions? No? Okay.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Yes.
Juby.
Juby, I.
Caius.
Guys, yes.
Leonard. I'm sorry, Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez. Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Sturgis. Tepe. Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
That one passes.
These things, these two items that Ms. Juby just brought up are really pride of our county, to do these agricultural easements. It's as growth continues for Kane County, having our agricultural lands being part of our county planning is just commendable. And I'm very happy that this board and continuing boards are going to be support our agricultural industry. It's just phenomenal. Mr. Williams, development.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's two.
It's okay.
So, and I thought, did I not listen?
Yeah, I
no.
have one more. That was the Kiefer Brothers. Now I need to introduce Resolution TMP 26-556, which is the Rue Farm authorizing the expenditure of funds and execution of deed of agriculture conservation easement for property located on Lasher Road, Caneville Township, and all related documents for closing as part of the Kane County Agriculture Conservation Easement and Farmland Protection Program. I move, I'd like a second. Thank you.
Okay, we have a second again. Any questions on this? Okay, clerk call the roll on this one.
Allen, Bates, Gums,
Comes, yeah.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard, Lewis. Make a mark. Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Pepe, Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Again, pride of Kane County. Yeah, so here comes Mr. Williams with the second next very important thing that we're going to be taking a look at.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Development Committee has two resolutions for your consideration. Would anybody like to remove them from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll go on. The first is resolution adopting the Kane County Housing Readiness Action Plan. The second is a resolution approving a contract extension with Huddleston McBride Services LLC for fiscal year 2026. I'll move for approval. As per.
Mr. Roth, seconds. Any comments on this? I would encourage you, and I'm in the midst of reading it right now, about halfway through, the Kane County Housing Readiness Action Plan. It is a phenomenal, well-researched document. If you are interested in housing the future growth of Kane County from a build perspective, I would suggest that you dive into it. It's going to be a guideline for us as we move forward, pending passing, of course, of the full board. But it is highly recommended, and I think you'd find it to be of importance for future decisions because it's going to be tied to agriculture. They're kind of tied together for land use. So it's an important document. So no further comments, clerk call the roll.
Allen, Bates, Gums,
Comes, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Pepe, Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
In space.
I have one resolution to bring forth from Energy and Environmental. It is TMP 26452, a resolution authorizing a contract with Sustained Ability Construction for professional services related to Kane County Energy Audit and Rebate Program. I will move and ask for a second. Thank you.
Caius, any questions on this? None, clerk call the roll.
Allen, Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Comes, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Pepe, Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
All right. Mr. Leonard is not here. He is in Springfield, so Mr. Sanchez will be presenting the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to get us through this so I can get my gold star for the day.
Ms.
Can I start, Ms. Gomes? I'm going to start with asking if anyone wants to remove any for placement off of the consent agenda. If you want to just discuss an item, we can do that under the normal on consent motion. Ms. Juby?
I would like to remove item G on page 933 to be off consent agenda.
Ms. Gomes?
I just noted that B should be off automatically because it's an expense voucher.
Okay. Anything else?
Can I clarify on that? Sorry. That one is, that's just for employees for the 68-day pass. It's not a personal expense voucher.
Oh,
for the
I
account.
misunderstood. Okay.
That would was passed
Disregard
through
me.
finance. That's fine. All right,
Okay.
so we only have item G.
Item G for off consent. Anything else? No. Okay, then I will make a motion to move all of the remaining items, ask for a second, and I will go through and describe all of these.
Why don't you, before we go through that, why don't you read them and then we can ask for the call,
Okay.
just in case somebody.
All right. First resolution approving March 2026 claims paid in the total of $10,973,189.47. The next resolution approving personal expense voucher reimbursement requests in total of $29.73. Item C is authorizing interfund loans for general fund account 001 and general fund special reserve account 112 totaling $12 million. Item D, authorizing interfund loans for Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund 110 and General Fund Special Reserve Account 112 at $2.5 million. Item E, authorizing interfund loans for FICA and Social Security Fund 111 and General Fund Special Reserve Account 112, $2.5 million. Item F, a resolution directing the use of the Consumer Price Index increase in the county budget process as addressed in the Kane County Board fiscal year 2027 budget policy. And this will be adopting a 2.7% increase, which would be a 0.1% total increase on a tax bill. Item G has been removed for off consent. Item H, ordinance authorizing fiscal year 2027 non-union cost of living wage increase, and this will be a 2.5% increase. Item I is a resolution authorizing a contract extension for countywide bottled water delivery service with Blue Triton Brands Incorporated, DBA Primo Brands. It's a 1-year extension. Item J is a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Kendall County for juvenile detention services. Item K, authorizing elimination of housing and COC program manager position and creation of an assistant director of planning and information management for the Kane County Health Department. This is a structural change the Health Department is doing as they have incorporated the workforce development department and are making some adjustments so that they can more properly administer all of the programming. Item 11L is resolution approving an FY26 budget adjustment for Motor Fuel Tax Fund 302, Motor Fuel Local Option Fund 304, Transportation Sales Tax Fund 305, and South Impact Fee Fund 560. This is more or less of a housekeeping matter. Item M, resolution authorizing to enter into Kane County Health Department grant agreements. This is for operational flexibility so that as the grant opportunities come up, the Health Department doesn't have to go through the committee process. These are regular grants that we authorize every year. So this gives them the ability to act very quickly to accept that money. So if there is any discussion on these items, we can have that now.
All right, any comments? Yes, ma'am.
I think it was last year's budget or the year before that we matched what we paid our non-union people to CPI. And I just wondered if the discussion happened and I missed it, that we're not doing that this year. Our non-union wage increase is proposed to be 2.5. Our CPI is planned to be 2.7. Do we want to talk about that at all?
I believe, Kathleen, I've been instructed at 2.5. Finance Committee, I believe, agreed to 2.5. That's what we were instructed to do at 2.5. That can be brought up when the budgets are brought forward. And obviously it can be adjusted if the board approves that, but we have been instructed at 2.5.
Okay.
I think it's worthy of a conversation, Ms. Allen, because why not? Why not have that conversation, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd be interested in a number. What does that number represent to our budget if we go from 2.5 to 2.7 for our non-union people?
When the budget is brought forward to you for the board for discussion, let's wait because all the committees have to go through. They'll start after next week as the committees meet. bring snacks, prepare for long meetings, as they each present their budget. And then after it's together and pulled together with all the data, then we can take a look at it. It'll be easier for us to evaluate it at that point. But absolutely, I agree, a worthy discussion. And we've had that discussion before. To bring that up, I believe it was Ms. Juby made that recommendation, previous board meeting and board budget hearings. And the board agreed and made that adjustment. So it's a worthy discussion. Yes.
Madam Chair, through the Finance Committee, what we have done is we requested that all of the departments and the elected officials include 2.5% in their budgets. Those are being presented now. Okay. So if there's going to be a change to this, we'd have to go back and redo it associated with every one of those individual areas. So the number 2.5 was decided upon based upon the kinds of things that are happening with the union negotiations that have been going on and the kind of settlements that or agreements that have been made in the past year.
And thank you for that comment. You're absolutely, it's complicated, but I'm going to say it very simply. Revenue has to equal expense to the best of our ability. So we have to, I know it's common sense, and as I'm saying it, I'm going, because we cannot drive down our reserves to, unfortunately, keep up with the cost of living all the time. So we'll see how the budget drives in. But absolutely, absolutely. We fought very hard for that adjustment. And we've been out, this board has been outstanding in making sure that people are equitably paid. And it's something to be applauded. Okay, so I think we need to take a vote on this. So take a vote, please.
Allen. We'll come back to our Bates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby. Caius. Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman.
Yes.
Surges. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Allen.
Allen abstains.
Right, passes.
And then there's just the remaining item G, a resolution revision to the Kane County financial policies regarding mass transit sales tax allocation, continuing the policy established last year. And we said we would do an annual review of accepting 35% of the RTA sales tax to go to the general fund for public safety purposes. I will make them, and this is to go off consent. I will make the motion to put this off consent and ask for a second. Happy seconds. Discussion. Juby, I know you pulled this. Do you want to start?
I only pulled it so I can vote no for it in the full county board meeting.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Seeing no other discussion, we're voting to move this to off consent to the full board.
Allen.
Off consent to the full, at the full board next week.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby. Caius. Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman.
Yes.
Surges. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
Our next item will be judicial public safety. Ms. Molina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Judicial and Public Safety Committee met on April 16th. We have one item we'd like placed on the consent agenda for the next county board meeting. That is TMP 26-450. And this is a resolution granting the King County State's Attorney authority to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with King County for wellness coordinator services on behalf of King County. And I will move that and request a second.
William seconds.
Mr. Williams, we'll give it to Mr. Williams. Folks call Ms. Bates. Um, if nothing else, clerk call the roll.
Allen, Bates, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby, Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Pepe, Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
No, okay, very good. Ms. Strathman, we're so happy you are back.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam
Actually,
Chair.
welcome back. So your turn.
So I have three resolutions today. The public health meeting was April 15th, and we have three resolutions. I'd like to pass them all together. Is there anybody who wants to pull any of them off?
Read them,
Okay.
And we'll get your second.
Pardon me?
Why don't you read them, then we can ask for the second.
Okay. Okay, I have, the first resolution is authorizing renewal of a contract for continuum of care support services for 2026, which is TMP 26-406. The second one is authorizing the intergovernment agreement between the Kane County Continuum of Care and the cities of Aurora and Elgin for 2026, which is TMP 26-407. And the final one is resolution authorizing agreement with the Illinois Department of Human Services for the Continuum of Care Capacity Building Grant for state fiscal year 2026, which is TMP 26-557. I'd like to move and ask for a second.
Linder, seconds.
Oh. Well, I will give that to Ms. Bates. She was ready to go. with that. All right, with no further discussion, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Pepe, Williams, Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
All right, okay, very good. Thank you. Ms. Pepe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a total of 16 resolutions this morning, but before I read them, I'd like to make a comment associated with Resolution G, the 5-year county plan. If anybody, particularly members of the board, are interested, you can go back to the March meeting and look at the presentation that Tom made associated with that. And within the body of the reports, there are a lot there are several, at least, projects that have been delayed and are not included on the 5-year plan. I've asked them to produce those reports so that they note which county board members are affected by that. So you can see what is happening in your own district to some of the budget constraints.
Is that going to be presented at when, at the board meeting?
It's already been presented. It's online.
Would you
Okay.
bring us the
The
email?
report is included, I believe, in this, it's included in this, these documents, the 1,100 and some odd pages that we have. So I'd encourage every board member to, pardon?
Yeah, just send it to us. Just.
It's in the packet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't do that. I'm just asking for some assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah, just send it to us. And that way everybody has a chance to review it again. It's in.
Some of the page number. Did you get that, Mike?
Mike, send it out anyway, just in case, all right?
No, it's page 13036.
Okay.
All right, okay. All right, everybody's got it. Page 1036. Mike is going to send it to you, send you the whole thing. You can review it. And if there's any questions, the county board. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, are there any of these 16 items that anybody would like to pull from a consent adjustment?
I just have a question on one, but I probably won't be pulling it, but I know we can't talk about it until there's a motion for it. So if we could just talk about it once we make a motion.
Why don't we pull it and then make it easy on you?
Because it doesn't
wanna
need to be removed.
Oh, you
I
don't wanna
think
pull it.
Needs to be removed from consent agenda. I just have a question on it.
Okay.
So the 16 resolutions are, A, approving a motor fuel tax appropriation for Kirk Road over Union Pacific Railroad parcel number 003 PE and 003 TE, Kane County, section number 12-00192-04 BR in the amount of $115,000. B, a resolution of reappropriating funds and amending resolution number 23-535 with HDR Inc. for Montgomery Road at Howell Plaza improvements, Kane County, section number 23-00586-00TL. Item C, a resolution reappropriating funds and amending resolution number 23-72 with Peralty Clark LLC for Fabian Parkway intersection improvement at Settlers Hill and Kingsland Drive, Kane County, section number 21-00373-01-CH. Item D, a resolution approving adopt a highway applicants. There are 11 renewal applicants and 5 new ones. Item E, a resolution approving the purchase of paint supplies for roadway markings for Kane County Division of Transportation in the amount of $88,175. Item F, resolution approving a road improvement impact fee credit agreement between the County of Kane and MIF Geneva Park-M LLC and MIF Geneva Park-J LLC. Item G is a resolution approving the Kane County 5-year fiscal year 2026-2030 Transportation Improvement Program. Item H is a resolution approving a contract for construction with SKC Construction, Inc. of West Dundee, Illinois for the 2026 Kane County PPC crack sealing project, Kane County section number 26-00000-04-GM in the amount of $196,648.62. Item I, a resolution approving a contract for construction with SKC Construction, Inc. of West Dundee, Illinois for the 2026 Kane County HMA crack sealing project, Kane County section number 26-00000-03-GM in the amount of $403,251.60. Item J is a resolution approving a contract for construction with Builders Paving LLC of Hillside, Illinois for the 2026 Kane County resurfacing project, Kane County section number 25-00591-00-RS in the amount of $10,787,000.88. Item K is a resolution approving a contract for reforestation with HDS LLC DBA Environmental Operating Company LLC of Chicago, Illinois, for the reforestation at Bruner Family Forest Preserve Project, Kane County, section number 25-00581-00-MS in the amount of $265,900. Item L, a resolution approving a contract for construction with Builders Paving LLC of Hillside, Illinois for the 2026 Blackberry Township resurfacing project, section number 26-04-04000-01-GM in the amount of $332,888, which will be paid for out of Blackberry funds. Item M is a resolution approving a contract for construction with Peter Baker and Son Company of Lake Bluff, Illinois for the 2026 Burlington Township resurfacing project, section number 26-05000-01-GM in the amount of $127,090.55, and that'll be paid out of Burlington Township funds. Item N, a resolution approving a contract for construction with Builders Paving LLC of Hillside, Illinois for the 2026 Campton Township resurfacing project, section number 26-06000-01-GM in the amount of $124,088, and that'll be paid out of the Campton Township funds. A resolution approving a contract for construction with Geske and Sons Incorporated of Crystal Lake, Illinois for the 2026 Rutland Township resurfacing project, section number 26-13000-01-GM in the amount of $108,940.50. And that'll be paid for out of the Rutland Township funds. Item P, a resolution approving a contract for construction with AC Pavement Striping Company of Elgin, Illinois for the 2026 Virgil Township resurfacing project, section number 26-16000-01-GM in the amount of $134,293.70. And that'll be paid for out of Virgil Township funds. I move all 16 and ask for a second.
Roth will second.
Oh, I have to say, they're going to be very, very busy. Yes, Ms. Judy.
So I have a question on D, which is the adopt a highway applicants. We have two people that are doing the same stretch of road that are not.
One side, one's on one side, one's on the other.
It says both sides on both of them. So there's 0.2 of a mile between on Burlington Road. One does it from Romkey to Rorson and the other one does it from Romkey to Railroad Street. So there's.
Yeah, I believe that notation is incorrect and we'll get that amended.
Okay. So it's not both sides of the street?
No.
Okay. That'll be corrected at the next meeting?
Pardon?
That will be corrected before the next meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just want to confirm, I may have heard that item number is, I thought you said thousand, it is million, 10,787,088 cents. Is that correct? It's 10 million.
I think so.
Thought I heard you say thousand. Just making sure. That's it. We have a motion.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby.
Juby, aye.
Caius.
Caius, yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman.
Yes.
Sturgis. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
The first resolution is on page 1122. It's resolution number TMP 26-563 in the amount of $399.59. It's a reimbursement for a Madam Chair to attend the 2026 ISACO conference. I'll make a motion if I can get a second.
Strathman will second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Stratman. I got all excited here. Any discussion? All right, let's call the roll.
Allen. Bates.
Bates, yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby. Caius.
Caius, yes.
Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Sturgis. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
Yes, is on page 1141. Where's my mouse? Let me get to it. It's resolution number TMP 26-564. It's in the amount of $34.11. It was for the Council of County Board Chairs and for Madam Chair. I'll make a motion if I can get a second. Any discussion? I call the roll.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby. Caius.
Pius, yes.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Sturgis, Pepe, Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
Would you like the chair of the committee to speak? Okay. Just asking. I would move and ask for a second to present and potentially approve a resolution authorizing Grand Victoria Riverboat funding for internal projects for fiscal year 2027. That is TMP 26-595 on page 1149. Table for those disbursements is on page number 1152. So I would move and ask, I have moved and will ask for a second. Seconded by,
Lewis seconds.
thanks. Okay. This,
You know, we had a member of the public make a statement this morning about how most of these projects belong in the general fund. And that's correct. I don't know whether it's necessary to do, as was suggested, to loan riverboat money to the general fund and take it out of there. I don't know that that's necessary. But I do think we need to acknowledge that, you know, we see what happened in Aurora to the riverboat. If this riverboat were to up and disappear and come in under a new contract with the city, this money would all go away. I don't know that there's any inclination that would happen, but this money is not guaranteed forever. And I think we need to start looking at ways to move some of that stuff back in the general budget or learn to live without.
well, I'm not going to speak to that particular point, but I did have the attached resolution authorizes the use of Grand Victoria Riverboat funds for various project programs sponsored by internal county offices and departments in fiscal year 2027, just for clarity. The authorization includes $642,400 awarded to offices and departments in previous fiscal years, but not expended, and $3,896,958 in new awards for fiscal year 2027. Applications for each project and program named in the resolution were reviewed and recommended by the county board's Riverboat Committee. Gums has her hand up.
Thank you. I'll be voting no on this at the full county board, for the reasons stated, and I think we're setting a precedent here. These things ought to be in the general fund. I don't want to dig into those details. We can do that next week, but I will continue to suggest to you that if we set a precedent on something that should be in the general fund, we're taking a gamble, and I don't like that. So,
Actually, I might, if I could respond to that. The process that, as we set it up here, and you could have Mr. Van Kerkhoff explain it a little more if necessary, is that we begin setting that up early, and now they're including already in the budgets for this year. So if it's to be changed at this particular time, makes it particularly inconvenient to do that. And I get what you're saying. It's not wrong. I think that if we're interested as a board in modifying the procedure, and that's one of the things that I ask of the committee when we first go in, is do we want to expend this amount percentage-wise internally and then externally? And is there any other changes that we want to make at that time? And at the very last minute, it's really difficult to do that. So, and we do need, if we go into the committee next year, we need direction from the board well ahead of time, so that when we're doing this thing, then we allot it appropriately, and we don't have to go to the argue it for a long time. And so that would be my suggestion, is if that's the way the board wants to do it, please let the committee know ahead of time.
Yeah, I won't speak for Miss Juby or Miss
you too?
Gums, but my comment was looking forward. It wasn't looking to change this.
Okay, yeah.
And then just to follow up to that point, I agree with everything you said, Chris. I encourage us to go forward in that fashion. And I would just simply suggest that when we're applying for these, I didn't know we were applying for this. Some of the things in here, right? So maybe that's my mistake. But I think this board should be consulted before we go applying for things that should be from the general fund. I mean, these are not like grant appropriate, in my opinion. So
We're repeating the same thing we did last year. There's a few of the first two actually. We're moving from the county board in order to balance that budget. And we struck those last year. And I think we need to again this year, which would be the lobbyist should be from the general fund. And then the strategic plan we cut last year. Why it's I think it's more important we balance the budget. And I don't think we should be using riverboat fund. I think there's a lot of pre-homework before we even start the strategic plan that the board has to do. And they could do that this year and then may do the strategic plan next year. I know, but then the following year. Because there's probably 300 hours that pre-homework needs to be done on the strategic plan before you actually start it by the board. I understand, but that's why I'm saying I think we got the cart before the horse. Well, it was a follow-up. It was objection was raised then, and the Riverboat Fund decided to put it forward. And like Mr. Kai said, it should have gone to the full board for discussion before it was put there. Because there was a discussion and the Riverboat decided to leave it there. Okay.
City decides that chooses not to do that.
Okay. And I'm willing, we can have this discussion during the full board. That's fine next week.
I would suggest maybe we have it here. I'm not sure.
Well,
We'll
that's why
probably
I
have
brought
a
it
lot
up.
more discussion available, or a lot less time than we did here. And this is already pushing past 11 o'clock. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know that there was a robust discussion at the Riverboat Committee, but I personally have concerns about putting an item in the budget for the strategic plan when the board hasn't voted on doing a strategic plan. Okay, so we're budgeting for something that the board hasn't voted for, and that just makes no sense to me.
Madam Chair, if I just can remind the board, we did approve a strategic plan. We approved the RFP for it. Halfway through the strategic plan being implemented, we had employees working on the strategic plan. The funding got pulled for the year of 2026. So we had a strategic plan going on in 2025 that was approved, that was worked on, and then the board decided not to continue to fund it. So it was approved. It was something that the board had agreed that we needed to do. Employees spent money on it. We spent money on it, time and money. So we basically threw away, I don't even know how much money was on the strategic plan. So if we don't have full input, if the full board does not want to do a strategic plan, then we should just say we don't want to do one. But I think we need it. I think if we're looking at what our future needs to be for this county, we need to stop reacting to things and having individual county board members requesting things to be done. And instead, all of us sit together in a room and decide what are our priorities? Where do we want to be in the next 5 years? Because otherwise we have certain people just reacting to things saying, oh, maybe we should put a second elevator in this building. Yeah, let's spend money on figuring that out. You know what? Let's sell a piece of property. Let's spend money on figuring out how to do that. Let's do this with this property. Let's all sit together and decide what we want to do, where we want our county to be. And the strategic plan is, I think, our first step in doing that. So I hope the rest of the board members kind of understand that particular stance. Let's agree on 5 things that we want to do, and let's plan for that. And then let's go forward with the rest. And we can't do that if we're not in a room agreeing to something, all of us together, planning. And I think that's what a strategic plan is. So I hope you guys agree with some of that.
May I respond to that?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure this is the reason I came to this meeting today. I just want to make sure the board has the opportunity to discuss it because to use an analogy, if I get a mortgage approved to buy a house and then the mortgage, my family votes to not have that mortgage, I'm not buying the house. So I could have approved buying the house with my family. But then when we decided not to get the mortgage, I decided not to do the house. So I just hope, I want the board to have the ability to discuss this. It's really important. Lots of stuff, but especially this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My understanding is that, well, I believe we absolutely do need to be doing strategic planning, and I think others agree. But perhaps the approach we had before was not ideal for everyone. And I think the understanding we have now is that we want to form a different approach where we develop the requirements before going out to bid, so that the county board has much more input first, initially, in that initial charter, so to speak. And then we can go through the process with the subcommittee that was formed. So that's my understanding, is we just want to have the ability to do that at some point in this budget here. So that if we do get to a point where all of the county board members or the majority are in agreement of moving forward with an RFP, we can do that and we have the funds available. So that's my understanding of why that's going to be included.
So I have a process question. If there's items, so we have to vote on this the way it's presented. We cannot modify it. We cannot remove something. So if I were to vote no for this because of one line item, I would be voting no for other things that I think are important. Is that correct? Okay.
Excuse me, to my understanding, this is an open liquid scenario here. It was presented by the subcommittee of the executive committee that this was the way that we thought best in that committee or we voted for. It can be modified at this meeting or at the full board meeting, is my understanding. Is that correct, Mr.?
Yeah, that's correct.
Anyway,
It's simply a suggestion.
So if I had concerns about where the lobbyists would show up if I didn't vote for them and this thing, how would I find that out? Like, would the lobbyists go back into the county board budget? Oh, absolutely. They are under.
Well, I don't believe that's not the purview of this committee right now. I mean,
But
we
if
could
I
discuss it, but
This, if I say I don't want it paid for on riverboat funds, it still needs to be paid for, so it's still pertinent to know where it's coming from. So you didn't make the cut from the budget, you moved it to another. So that's not a cut. So I do not want McGuire Woods to show up in the riverboat. So what do I say at this point to remove that? Well, I don't.
But then with the understanding. You understand that I cannot cut $120,000, $128,000 out of board's committee when I am mandated to increase.
But everyone else was asked to cut 5% out of their budget. All I can say is, I do not want this in this budget. So what is the process to do that? Do I make an amendment to remove it and put it back into the county board budget? Because I don't want to leave it hanging there, not putting it somewhere.
So this came up last year with Riverboat, specifically for like the strategic plan, where essentially you guys voted not to get rid of the strategic plan, but then when it was in Riverboat, it was taken out of Riverboat, and then it was never reallocated anywhere else. So there's never any action as a part of the larger budget to reallocate those funds. So if you're going to take something out of the Riverboat funding, you need to have a corresponding entry added to a budget, whichever budget you want, that would be related to account for the monies, both on the credit and the debit side. So for example, let's say it's the $120,000 for the lobbyist. You would theoretically move it to the county board budget with a motion for this, but the problem is all you can really do as it relates to this resolution is take it off. You're going to need to create a whole new resolution to put it on, or ask Madam Chair through her own discretion to add it to the budget, which gets into a separate question that the two of you were talking about, but that's the legal mechanism.
So that. The number.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that I need to articulate why I'm so opposed to this being from this particular fund. You have multi-year contracts with consultant services, right? So I'm not talking about this particular organization, because I'm hopeful that this board, whoever it may be in the future, recognizes the return on investment of this particular consultant is extraordinary. And it should not be in a grant-funded line item. It should not be. The return on investment is too high, and I hope that everybody can appreciate that going forward. That is my main concern, is that we'll have another RFP go out, or an RFQ or whatever, for another company. And I think if we set a precedent and put this into the Riverboat, somebody, 5 or 10 years from now might say, well, it's a Riverboat thing, we're just going to get rid of it. And that is a huge concern for me, because you're going to lose that return on investment, and it's easy to just blame it on the Riverboat, right? So if it's in the general fund, it's an operating expense that is bringing you money and legislation. And I think it's so important And it doesn't matter what company it is. It doesn't matter to me. It's just the services that are provided are incredible. Millions of dollars. They have no business being in a grant fund. So that's where I'm at on that. I don't know how to put it back in the general fund. I would ask kindly that that happen.
Madam Chair, I think, I just want to explain, if, I believe what happens is if we vote to remove it from the Riverboat Fund, then that money rolls back into the Riverboat Fund. No, it's in the account, right? Is that Mr. Van Kerkhoff? So if we remove it from that, then it would, unless we allocate it while we're here speaking to some other thing, other grant, if you want to go back through all of those grant proposals, that would be great. If we don't allocate it through this fund, then it would roll back into the Riverboat Fund and be available next year. Is that correct? For any of the other ones that are available, but it won't be available this year or for 27, I don't think, unless only if we allot it. Well, that's not what the purview of this is. If we have a fund, it's a riverboat fund. If we don't spend the riverboat fund on what we could on the applications, it rolls back into the riverboat fund. Is that correct?
Yes,
Mr.
that's correct.
Mr. Van Kerkhoff.
No, but I can give the answer quickly. That is correct. That's the way the allocation of the budget would work. However, there's a separate question of what do you do with the actual expenditure? So on this proper for funding, that's separate. The money for the riverboat will go back in. But then you have a question of you have an obligation to fund this expenditure or you don't, your choice. And if you don't put it in somewhere else in the budget, then you're going to have an issue where it just kind of dies on the vine. And that's happened. So just making sure you're all clear on this, when you start screwing around with this type of stuff, if you don't match it on the other side, the thing itself is no longer funded. And if you're under a multi-year contract, you can get yourself sued.
Oh, it's fine, it's fine. Is that better? I will simply move it back and tell her to put it back in. And it'll be on the county board budget because I mean, yes, I agree with you. We have to have it. It was just, as I mentioned, a way to effectively balance limited money. Because we had one increase that we're going to have. We have this and they were the same amount. And I said, well, I can't move compensation into riverboat funds because it's taxable compensation. So I moved that, which is a non-taxable compensation. So that was the shift, but I can shift it back in effortlessly. But I just want to share with you that when the budget is given to you for your consideration, it's going to be higher than I had hoped it would be. That's it.
I'd like to ask if, could the lobbyists be put into a different fund under the or could we create another fund under the general fund called legislative lobby? I believe that the county budget is quite small compared to many other budgets, and it makes it almost impossible to cut that 5%. So there's a little bit of a switcheroo going on here. And I'd like to keep the lobbyists in the general fund, but maybe in a special fund, a different
Like a
fund.
legislative fund?
Yes. How about that, Ms. Gums?
Well, but it is by resolution. Your committees don't have separate money. And by resolution that was originally established, it is out of the county board's budget. So we added it into the county board's budget. There's no reason for it not to be there because it is its own unique line item on that budget. But good suggestion, but it is a line item on that budget already, which was recommended by the board and passed. Mr. Tepe.
Madam Chair, my argument is somewhat different because I was talking about the strategic plan. Okay, and I thank Berna for providing me the correction to my assumptions, but as Mr. Gripe very well pointed out, if we end up approving the money for the strategic plan, okay, that means that it's going forward. That's the way budgets typically work. And this is something I think should be discussed at the county board level. So I see Mr. Gripe nodding his head in approval. Okay, so my point was somewhat different from where the money is in the budget. My point related to approval of something that would just move forward. So thank you.
So just so we're all in understanding, we have two items separate. I think we have thoroughly discussed and we can take a motion on what we're going to be removing from this this item. Hold on a sec. Let me finish. We're not done with strategic plan yet, but the strategic plan was approved by the board. The money was pulled back. This is to refund it so that there can possibly be a renewal of the strategic plan. So we'd have to pull back the original resolution where it was passed and amend that resolution. Isn't that correct for the strategic plan?
No, your strategic plan has been in place for years now. The issue last year was that it got taken off and then it never got properly allocated into the budget. So if you're going to give the $150,000, then theoretically speaking, I think you guys are still under contract, presuming that that company didn't drop us. But if you're already under contract, then they can just start work again.
They can start the work again. Okay. So, and that is something I don't know. Yes, sir. Surgeon.
Good morning. I just wanted to respond for a second to my colleague's soliloquy, Ms. Molina, not soliloquy, monologue, that it was my understanding that we were not happy with the contract. We were not happy with the performance of the contractor that we chose for the strategic plan, how it took shape, what the deliverables were, that we had missed deadlines, that we were going to step backwards and try and revitalize that. There have been several emails that I have sent asking specifically for the $60,000 we've paid, what deliverables do we have that we could review? I specifically asked, have we broken the contract with them so that they are not the vendor anymore? And does that if that contract is in fact broken, does that mean the money's been returned to the budget, or is that still budgeted that could be used for another person? How are we going to move on with that? And for whatever reason, nobody's pointing fingers, but if it's being revived right now, I mean, there's a lot of water under the bridge, and I'm asking, where are we in the overall process? And it seems like this is being thrust back upon us, and we're not quite ready for this yet. And that's not to say that in an overarch, this isn't an important part of, where you're steering the ship. But in the short term, I don't believe that we've overcome the difficulties or the failures that we had going forward, and that we need to repackage that before we go approving and moving this on. And I just want to throw that out there because I've not had responses to the emails that I've sent. And so if we could back up the step on this, I mean, I think that's needed. And that's not to say, again, that the budget was removed or the contract was killed, because none of that might be true.
I have a comment to that, but Mr. Roth and then Ms. Molina.
I originally brought this up because I think, like I said, the cart was for the horse. And what Ms. Molina said, the board needs to meet, decide what we're doing. And that's what I was trying to get across. We never did that. We started off with a small subgroup, and it was going in a direction which a lot of board members thought was incorrect. And I think it needs to start with the board. What is our vision and what do we want to do? When we all agree, that's when you can start a strategic plan. It's not like go do a strategic plan, then we decide if it's right. We need to have the vision agreed among the 24 of us before we start. And that's not a one meeting. That's what I'm saying. That could be 300 hours potentially. Similar to the concept 2 years ago when we were proposed about doing the new building. Remember, we had all those studies where we as a board met to determine the priority and where we wanted to go. And that's what I'm recommending has to be done. And that's not a short-term free project, but I think that's a requirement that needs to be done first before we spend money. And that's what Ms. Molina said basically too.
Can I
Please,
respond?
Annette.
Okay, and then you can gather your thoughts. So from, I guess philosophically, the fact that we understand that our expenditures are greater than our revenues. This is a revenue source that's been given to us. Thankfully, we made a deal with the Elgin Riverboat. We didn't make a deal with the Aurora Riverboat. So we've gathered monies for years and years from this riverboat. This is a revenue fund. I don't understand why we are not looking at it as a revenue fund in the sense that we have money this year allocated. We know how much money we're getting for next year. We have a balance of money, surplus funds from previous years. I don't understand the hesitation as to why we can't pay our lobbyist that we know we're going to have money for in the next year. I doubt that in the next 5 years, we're not going to have this money anymore. Our lobbyist is funded. It doesn't just support the county board members. It supports every single department, every single elected official. To me, philosophically, I'm trying to understand, and I'm trying to understand what the rest of my board members are thinking about the lobbyist one. Give me a second. Let me continue my soliloquy. That's the first one on the lobbyist. The second one on the strategic plan is I'm listening to all of you, and I think that's one of the important steps in a strategic plan is that we listen to each other and we kind of figure out where we're all going. So for the strategic plan, I think it's important that we do all get together and decide whether or not, one, we want a strategic plan and we have buy-in from every single board member. Two, that we understand what the plan is, what we want out of it. So my question is for our chairman of the Riverboat. What stops us from saying maybe in 2 months that we've met and we want a strategic plan and now we're requesting money from the Riverboat? Is the Riverboat only allowed to request funds once a year? And if that's true, why? If there's money there, if it's not only allowed once a year, then why, as policymakers, are we not making the decision to maybe postpone that application for 2 months to decide whether or not we want to go through with it for 2027?
Yes, sir. You have a question on the table. Please answer.
Sure. Thank you, Mark Van Kerkhoff. Yeah, this is a unique revenue source for the county board to use in your budgeting process. Part of the process requirements that the previous boards have put into place have been the establishment of the Riverboat Subcommittee, which is a subcommittee of the executive committee for making those recommendations. We've generally been doing the internal allocation process on an annual basis prior to people submitting their budgets, as well as they make the recommendations on the external applications that come in. But it can be done. The Riverboat Committee could meet at any time to review a adjustment for the use of the Riverboat Fund.
Meet
So
every other fund.
my opinion would be yes, mid-year requests could be entertained through the Riverboat Committee to the Executive Committee and the full board.
Thank you. No, and I agree. I see.
Madam Chair, just some clarity if I can add. So what I heard Myrna saying is more of a global thing, but what Mavis was saying was specific to pick up the contract that's already in play. And I'm confused as to which one we're talking about. I'm just lost on the fundamental there.
This basic, can I just say my quick comment and then I'll recognize you? If the money is allocated, specifically the riverboat money, all right, and the board decides that we're going to allocate $150,000 for this potential study. However, The board has got to decide, we've all discussed, if you want the study, what the context of the study is going to look like, what the values that you want to discuss. And I dare say what the public wants, because remember, we have to go out to the public, to the community, because that truly is also part of the study. What the parameters of that. Not a dime has been spent at this point for that $150,000. And at that point, if this board, 24 board members decide that, we don't want it, we don't want to do it. No, hold on, this current allocation, not the past allocation, the current allocation. You decide at this point that you don't want to spend the money, then the money immediately gets turned back to the riverboat funds. But until you have a contract in hand with the work that you want to do, and you're allocating future use of money, potential future use of money, just like your mortgage, the bank is ready to give you $750,000. All right, there you go. You're ready to sign the contract and you decide that you really want that 4th bedroom. And you go, yeah, we're not going to buy that house because it doesn't have the 4th bedroom. Well, then you're not going to take the money. You're going to say, thank you very much. Have a nice day. We're going to renew this. But the allocation of potential use of this money is what you're approving, not the actual expenses, the monthly expense. Yes. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No, Ms.
please,
Bates was first.
Please.
Mr. Sturgis, the contract has been canceled. There is no continuation with Dunbarry on this issue. A new RFP would have to be issued. The new RFP would only, you're so welcome. A new RFP would only be issued after we have met with the entire board to get the entire input from every person on the board for how we want to move forward with this. That was one of the mistakes that was made last year. The consultant kept saying, no, we don't want more than 6 people doing this. Well, we will be determined to manage that consultant, the new consultant, to the wishes and the desires and the goals of the entire board. And I did send out a letter to everyone on this committee, not to you, Mr. Roth, I don't think, sorry, you were ex officio, so I don't think you got the letter. But it's my email, which most of you got, stated that the riverboat, the strategic plan fulfills every requirement of an appropriate use of riverboat money. It fulfills all of the 3 E's. It fulfills projects that, well, you can read it yourself, or I will read it. Miss Molina, in her eloquence, has spoken about the need for this. I just noticed, Mr. Tepe, that the Transportation Department has a 5-year plan. I think many of our departments have 5-year plans. Why doesn't the full board have a 5-year plan? As Yogi Berra said right here in my email, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up someplace else. We can't steer without a rudder.
We've got 2 comments, and then I think we've had ample discussion on this.
Thank you,
Right,
Madam
and-
Chair.
and that was Juby.
So I think what the concern
No,
is,
I'm sorry, you'll have to wait.
Sure.
There's a correction. You're not on the committee, although we always allow board members to speak.
Well, you're not going to like this because I would like to make a motion to remove the funding for the strategic plan from the riverboat to be discussed for reallocation after the board has had their conversations about the direction of the strategic plan after our queue has been.
Can you clarify that, please?
Oh, okay. I would like to remove it from this following Ms. Molina's suggestion that we revisit it at a later date after we have done our due diligence in developing our ideas for a strategic plan.
I second. I being Gums.
All right, we have a motion and a second to remove The item, it is second on your list, from Fund 001, Strategic Plan, $150,000.
For reconsideration to be reallocated at a later date through the riverboat. I don't want to kill it. I
No,
just
no, no.
don't want it
Just
here.
all right, well, we can, you can bring it up. I think we ought to be clean with this. If you would like to remove it, then we can vote on that. The reallocation can come up through Mr. Caius's committee. You can ask for a reallocation, and as we found out, that it can be reallocated at a future date if it is the will of the board to do so. So, discussion.
So on the motion itself, I just need a little clarity because I don't want it to be open-ended to the suggestion of Ms. Molina. I don't want it to go into like November or December. Can we make this like next month or like, what does that look like? Am I?
Discussion towards
Well,
the strategic plan.
to the point is, we have to have this big discussion before we make the decision for the 150,000. I don't want that to go on for months. I want like some kind of end date to that. And I don't know if that needs to be included in the motion.
Well, I believe that it's very simple. All you have to do is ask me to put together a meeting and for the county board to meet. We can have a special board meeting or a committee of the whole before a special board meeting or a board meeting ask for that resolution to be put back on the board, asking the Riverboat Committee to meet to allocate $150,000 and let the Riverboat Committee then meet and go up through the food chain again, go up Riverboat exec full board to have that discussion. So, or you can pass it and not spend it. Not spend it. And if the board decides that they do not want to have the strategic plan, then it is sent back to the Riverboat Committee and it said, please remove this, we're canceling that item. So you do have options. You do have options on what to do. Please, and then Ms. Molina.
Alan, with a little historical perspective, one of the problems that we had in the old days was that the riverboat money was traded. I'll do your project if you'll do my project. So bringing it into an annual plan meant that we got rid of that kind of trading. It meant that everybody brought their ideas to the committee, worked them out, and then that was it for the year. So that's a reason to not defer. And can I just say that if you include this 150,000 in the riverboat plan, it's just like any other grant. If the grant goes out and it doesn't get done for some reason, the money just folds right back into the riverboat committee. So there's nothing. I agree that we need to have the committee, that the 24 of us need to decide that putting this money there and just letting it sit there is not a problem for any of us. If we don't spend it, it goes right back in.
All right, Ms. And then don't forget, we have to take a vote because we have a motion on the table. Ms. Molina?
Ms. Molina, yeah, thank you. Regarding the motion on the table, I guess I would request instead of postponing this because it's already gone to the subcommittee has already agreed upon it, that we maybe instead of doing that, amend the resolution, adding some kind of whereas, once the county board meets and decides upon having a strategic plan, that money will then be allocated. Should the county board not agree on a strategic plan, that money will be put back into the fund. So that would be something to that effect, my request versus moving it over.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to amend.
So agreed, the motion's on the table to amend, but to your regard, just briefly, you already kind of had that embedded in this concept where essentially if I don't personally know that the contract's been extinguished, but if it has, then if you don't ever actually go and rebid it and, the money just doesn't get used and then it just goes back by automation. So you have that in there. If you want it expressed in there, you can, but it's implied already.
Whole thing is implied. I agree. All right, the last thing that we need to take a vote. Now, hold on a second, just clarification. Michelle, I will recognize you. we have a clarification. We have a motion and a second to, on the table to remove the strategic plan from the funding. We've had ample discussion about this. Now we have an amendment to that motion to allocate, if it's not allocated, if after the board meets and if they decide at that time not to allocate the money, go to RFP, then the money is going to be immediately reallocated to the riverboat funds. We also have discussion that says you don't need to do that because that's inherent in the riverboat funds. If it's not expended, it cannot be spent. I mean, it just goes naturally back. I want to make sure that we have accuracy so
Did
that
we have a
everyone
second
knows what
on
they're
that
voting
amendment?
upon.
Was there a second on the amendment?
We're still in discussion. We're still in discussion on it.
Mine wasn't an action, mine was a question towards the state's attorney, whether or not, we needed it or not. So there's only just one motion.
Okay, just before we vote on the motion, because I don't want to get it wrong and everybody's making perfect sense and I'm glad that we're listening to one another. I guess my question is, does this, if we pass this forward the way it sits, we're all sitting here saying, well, we don't intend to do it, right? But it's there and we can do it, and then we go ahead and do it. I'm concerned about that. So we're again, the cart before the horse type of situation, the action before the conversation. So even if we leave it there, I'm concerned about that action because I don't know who's still pending in a list waiting for funding from the riverboat. I don't know who we've denied. I don't know any of those things. I can ask those questions, but I guess that's beside the point. I am perfectly fine, I think, with having further conversations. My biggest concern is that it takes forever. Right? Like, I don't want that part of it to happen. Shut up. But do you see what I'm saying? That's my concern about this particular motion on the floor to remove it could potentially be problematic. It could be problematic to keep it there. I don't know what the answer is, and I would like clarity on what this board's intention is with that motion.
This is, Ms. Bates brought this forward for your consideration. She advocated for the riverboat funds. She'll be the last one, and then I'd like to take the vote on this. And this would be towards Ms. Juby's amendment to this, to remove the riverboat funds. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to suggest one more help on this issue. And that's that should we move forward, and I hope we will, nothing personal to anybody, but I hope we will, including me, I hope we will approve this money for the river, for the strategic plan. And we will go out for an RFP for a new consultant, and that RFP will come before the full board. It will have to be approved by the entire board. So if we approve, when we approve this money, $150,000, it will only sit in the bank until we have gone out, vetted. We will put out the RFP. We will vet various contractors, find the best consultant. The full board will have the right to approve or not approve that RFP when it comes up. So yes, we're getting approved for the mortgage, but no, we're not buying the house yet. So, and I felt that there was an urgency. The deadline for this application was a month ago. It was like kind of now or never to do it now or to wait another year. I guess that's my understanding of the riverboat funds is there's a big deadline and you have to get it in. So
that got corrected though.
Okay.
We understand that. So, all right. So we have a motion on the table and a second to remove the $150,000 from the strategic plan. It is item number 1. Okay, we got this. All right. Does everyone understand what they're voting for? This is to okay. Okay, I'm paraphrasing it to the best of the understanding.
I would prefer that we understand exactly what's in this.
Yes.
Rather
Can
than
you-
a
can you-
paraphrase of what we're
That-
voting on,
That's
if you
Mr.
don't
Caius,
mind.
that's, oh, Mr. Caius, I do not mind.
What I have collected, it is to remove the riverboat funding of 150,000 for the strategic plan and for possible reallocation at a later date once the county board has set plans to move forward with the strategic plan. Is that good?
Yeah,
All right. clerk
you should have
call-
read that like 20 minutes ago.
Clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby.
Juby, aye.
Caius.
Caius, no.
Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Linder.
Linda, yes.
Molina.
Molina, no.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, no.
Strathman.
Strathman, no.
Sturgis.
Burgess, no.
Tepe.
Tepe, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. It's a tie, 7-7.
So Pura.
I do not support that. I want to keep it in the current allocation.
Okay, fails 8-7.
That was on the motion.
So it'll be moved as presented.
Yes, say no.
But this one will be, oh, we have to vote on the whole thing. We have. Yeah, I only going to recognize people who are on this committee, please.
Thank you. So the motion to remove it failed. Fair. Did anybody actually make a motion on the lobbyist thing? I don't remember that
No, not
because we
yet.
didn't vote on that. Okay. I already argued my point on it. I guess I can move it to go back into the general fund.
Second.
You have no authority to move it into a general fund. You have the authority to remove it from the Grand Victoria. That's it.
Okay. So I guess I'll move to have it removed from the Grand Victoria Fund.
We have a motion and a second on the table to remove 132,000 for the government relations and lobbyist services from the riverboat funds.
Clarity, if I may. The contract is for 120,000. So, is there something I'm missing in there that you want to keep in there?
Just in case, because it is their privilege, it's an annual renewal. And I thought there may be an increase from their end. So
That's all I needed. Thank
I
you.
added a little bit more money in that, just in case. Once again, it does not have to be expended, but that was the reason why. Taking care of the lobbyist.
Can I suggest that we keep this allotment as it is for this reason? Holistically, we don't want to fund operations out of the riverboat fund. But that needs to be a decision made by all of us that we're not going to do it anymore. And the lobbyists should be in our general fund. The state's attorney operating funds should be in our general fund. The only operations that could come out of the riverboat reasonably are the 3 E's. In other words, if you need to fund money for your environmental department, that's a legitimate use of these funds. Even so, the goal here is to get the operating stuff out of the riverboat. It's manna from heaven. But as Ms. Gummins said, you can't count on that money. And can I just share with you that there was a time when the alternative courts were funded out of the riverboat funds. And Mr. Hochheit, who was chairman at the time, said, I have to admonish you people that this money may not continue to flow. So if you think the program is important enough, get it into your general fund. Go find other grants. You can't count on it to come from here. And the alternative courts did exactly that. You don't see them showing up here. But you do see state's attorneys operating funds, and we do see the lobbyists, and that should all go back into the general fund. And could we please plan to do that next budget season? Thanks for letting me rant.
I would just like to respond.
Hold on a second. Does anybody, I think we've had, Ms. Combs, with all due respect, you have a motion on the table. Let's take the vote. We've had lots of discussion about this. I think everybody is, has an opinion of where it's going to go. The lobbyist is going to stay in place no matter how you're going to fund it, and in what application. I think we're all in agreement with that respectfully. So we have a motion and a second to remove this item of $32,000 government relations and lobbyist services. Take the vote, please. Vote yes, keep it in there, no to remove.
Alan?
No. Just the opposite. Yes, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. I need water. What? Count the vote. I'll be right back.
A no is to keep it, a yes is to remove it. Okay. Alan? Bates? Gums?
Gums, yes.
Juby? Caius?
Caius, no.
Lewis?
Lewis, no.
Linder?
Linder, yes.
Molina?
Molina, no.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, no.
Strathman? Sturgis? Pepe?
Pepe, no.
Williams?
Williams, no.
Roth?
Roth, yes.
It fails 4-2. Yeah.
Back to the count. And, thank you. Vote, okay, take the vote.
If there are no other men.
Oh, please. Please. Strike that comment. Please call the roll. I'm just gonna get some more.
We're calling the roll to pass.
The pass.
The pass as is.
Moved by me and seconded by.
Lewis?
It's Lewis. As it's been. Amend, as amended.
No, no amendment. They all failed. So it's as is. Allen? Bates? Gums?
Gums, yes.
Juby?
no.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Linder?
Linder, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman?
Yes.
Sturgis? Tepe? Williams?
Yes.
Roth? Passes with 4 noes.
Yeah, there's more. Madam Chair, would you like me to handle the item D, F, and G?
I would like that very much.
Okay. Item D, I would move a resolution, and to present and potentially approve a authorization to authorizing the chief judge to award and execute a contract for Kane County Courthouse Bench Project, TMP 26-593 on page 1153, not to exceed $550,000, or excuse me, $850,000. Adequate funds are available in the Judicial Construction Fund, and the project will have no impact on the county general fund. So I would move and ask for a second.
Is there any discussion on this item? Yes, Ms. Judy.
So it states in here that the judiciary and courts will work with the purchasing department to competitively bid the King County Courthouse Bench project. When will that bid go out, and will we have it by the next meeting? I mean, it says there's urgency here, but we still have to bid it out, and it's still going to qualify for an RBO and all that stuff. So when will we see it again?
You need to turn your microphone on. And bring it up and just pick it up and put it.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes, the RFP bid package was put on BidNet today, so it will be out until the 26th. So it's in the works. It's already issued,
Or when is it? When is it?
No.
closed?
May 26th.
May 26th.
And that was verified by the Chief Judge this morning.
Correct.
And then, okay, so my follow-up question is then, do we don't get another vote on this once the documents have come in? Like normally when we get, I'm not used to it coming forward like this. Usually I'm used to it coming forward as a resolution after it's been bid out. We have the bid documents to look at, we see who the most qualified bidder was, and then we go ahead and start the project. So is this, I'm a little confused on, we've authorized this project before we've had the bid. So does the board oversee the, do we get the, like, the little, does it go back to admin or judicial or something? I don't understand what the process is.
I will let Mr. Frank comment on that.
Somebody. That better? All right. So this is.
The guest speaker.
Oh, it's me. So the, so the request that this come to executive directly was made by me. I talked to Mr. Caius and Ms. Molina, and they graciously allowed this to happen. Part of this reasoning is there was a misunderstanding of whether or not this was already qualified under a prior bid. Our office determined that it was not due to the size of the project as well as the fact that it's a construction project. So we're trying to do two things at once, which is inclusive of doing the bidding right now while we get it through the county board because of the time frame that's needed to get these benches in place. So that's for the reason for kind of the twofold manner here. There's a reason why we also put all those additional compliance requirements in there, subject to the review and approval of the Kane County State's Attorney's Office in consultation with Roger Fonstock as well as purchasing. So getting the bid out, sounds like it was today. It'll be out till the 26th. I believe they already have a set of number of people who are going to be reviewing these bids. And then once it's been awarded, then we'll go through and get the contract in place, no different than we would any other time. And then we would do the vet packet. And all you're essentially allowing is the chief judge to sign rather than allowing Madam Chair to sign. And the other kind of thing that's a wrinkle on here is because it's the actual courtroom itself, the physical courtrooms you have control over, but within the courtroom, they kind of have that jurisdiction, which is why they're allowed to pay for it. So it's kind of a everybody get along in the sandbox kind of thing.
I have a follow-up question if I may.
Yes, Ms. Judy.
So, I'm unclear then, it does not then come before another committee to be approved?
It would not. It would go to the county board. We bypassed JPS and admin, which is we've commonly done in the past, as long as the chairs of those committees were in agreement and Madam Chair was in agreement to go ahead and put it on the agenda for us.
So then it goes to the county board. So it does come before the board one more time.
Yes, next week.
Okay, and we'll have the bid, but we won't have the bid by next week.
No, we will not.
So it doesn't come before the board again once it's been bid out.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to belabor it because I also, this was kind of a different subject matter than we're normally used to. Just because it's being done inside the courtrooms, our chief judge still has to send this out to bid.
That is correct.
So it still has to go through the whole process. That was just something that was just not, was kind of overlooked based on the timeline of this, because I'm also I'm not completely comfortable approving something that we haven't received the bids for. But I'm going to do this just out of courtesy to our chief judge. But typically they would have to go through the process, correct?
Yes, so there is a series of other bids that have been done in the past, which are the general architectural and build bids for the building departments generally. Typically, the way these have worked is you guys have approved up to a certain amount of threshold per year to allow for, construction projects. The nature of this is a little bit different than that, though. which is why I think there was an original thought. In fact, I believe even purchasing was of the belief that this would be okay. The concept, however, was there's a limitation on that of $400,000. And it's supposed to be spread out amongst multiple architects anyways. And so if you use all that allotment for this, which you can't, but if you did, then you would have to increase the amount or you would have to use it, which is not contemplated in the bid. So because this project at $850,000 subsumes the amount, but in addition to that, not only in addition does it subsume the amount, it's not contemplated as a minor kind of construction project. It is very clear it needs to be bid unto itself, not only under the 30,000 threshold, but the RBO at 100,000 threshold.
Does everybody understand what's happening here? Okay. Then let's call the roll.
Allen. Gates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby. Caius.
Caius, yes.
Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez. Strathman.
Yes.
Surges. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yeah.
Passes.
Right. That, yes, it did pass. All right, I'm going to give this back to Mr. Sanchez. It has to deal with treasure,
The
next ordinance.
Okay, item E off
oh,
consent.
E.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Item E for off consent, ordinance amending section 2-196A of the county code for depositories of funds of the county treasurer collector. I will make a motion and ask for a second.
Gums,
Okay.
second.
This is just kind of a routine adjustment, housekeeping kind of thing we've done before. But if there are any questions, yeah.
Any questions on this? No? All right, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Bates.
Bates, yes.
Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby. Caius.
Caius, yes.
Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Surges. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
Alarm system. computer
F.
Technology.
Lucky
That's
Caius
you.
gets to
Yes,
do
Mr.
another
Caius.
one. I'd like to present a motion, request a motion and a second to present and potentially approve a resolution authorizing a short-term extension for access control system contracts with Alarm Detection System Incorporated and Convergent Technologies for the Kane County Information Technology Department due to ongoing projects, bid number 30-019, that is TMP 26-597 on page 1163, which is unfinished projects that are ARPA funded that are beyond the contract completion date. And I would move and ask for a second.
Any discussion on this item? Being none, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Bates.
Bates, yes.
Gums. Juby. Caius.
Caius, yes.
Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Surges. Pepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yeah.
Passes.
Caius, the next one is yours as well.
And then item G is an ordinance, and I would move and ask for a second for amending Chapter 2 Administration, Article 6, Purchasing of the Kane County Code to establish procedures for disposition of county-owned surplus real property. That is TMP 26-598 on page 1169. It establishes a formal, transparent process for identifying, declaring, and disposing of surplus county-owned real property in accordance with Illinois law. Again, I moved it and would ask for a second.
Bates moves, Bates second.
Any discussion on this?
I do have just a quick question. Should it read in there that we're also inserting personal property?
This is real property.
We're on page
We
one.
already have a procedure for personal property.
Right, but we're adding language to, and we have underlined language, surplus personal property.
Is that already in there?
And then there's
That's
two
showing the
definitions.
under fair market value, Crystal, last.
Because, Madam Chair, if I may, we were showing the difference between, because we have a policy
Right.
that did not separate land, so we added the word personal in there to delineate it from the new part of the policy that we're doing for real.
So that's
We're
why
not
I'm saying
changing
in
the
that,
personal property policy. We're just adding the sale of land.
It's a definition.
Yeah, it's a restrictive term. You're not actually
No,
adding
I
anything
understand that.
personal.
I was confused because here it says county-owned surplus real property. I didn't know if that needed to be included in that title. That's all I'm asking.
No,
Thank
because
you.
it's a restrictive.
Okay. No other questions? Clerk call the roll.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby.
Judy, aye.
Caius.
Guys, yes.
Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Surges. Tepe. Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yeah.
Passes.
I will let you go. Elena, could you
Okay.
do volunteer monthly?
Sure. So this is a proclamation we're requesting placed under Chairman comments for next week's meeting. Proclamation recognizing May as Volunteer Appreciation Month in the County of Kane. And I'll move that and request a second.
Thank you. I don't think we need any discussion on this. Clerk call the roll.
Allen. Bates. Gums.
Gums, yes.
Juby.
Judy, aye.
Caius.
Guys, yes.
Lewis. Linder.
Linder, yes.
Molina. Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Surges. Tepe. Williams. Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes.
I'll take this one. May I have a motion and a second to approve the travel purpose and evaluation form for her? All righty, thank you. She's going to NACO, going to New Orleans. All approve, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Okay, welcome. I'll see you in New Orleans. Okay, executive session, we do not need, my
God.
committee reports. I'll be very, very brief with that. According to the most recent study that is being done and with the housing study that is being presented to you, I do want to remind everybody that Kane County has an aging population. Over 50% of our residents are over the age of 50. So it's critically important. What I'm trying to say is that we have to make sure that we have affordable housing and affordable housing within that range for our young people who are coming into our workforce, as well as for our aging seniors who are limited income. The greatest increase in poverty rate here in Kane County is with our seniors. We have to, I would like to, I've already asked to make sure that we have the budget for, estimate for the mailing. Then Mr. Kyles is going to be doing research for that, for the mailing that was just went out for the treasurer. Because it was a robust impact and was also called out. And I'm assuming that was the increased cost, but it's an assumption. There was some comment about the water coolers. I have a photograph if you'd like to see. I took this on Sunday afternoon. I went upstairs to show you. I kind of an interesting picture of the color of the water we have here with our 80-year-old rusty iron pipes. You can well imagine, but if you'd like documentation, I can share that with you to make sure that we maintain our water coolers both upstairs and throughout our buildings so that people don't have to drink unfiltered water. And the SNAP program cuts, which were talked about for the legislative, you do realize with SNAP program cuts, that's quite a few people here in Kane County. I think the estimate is over 120,000 in the state of Illinois. I think that's a modest amount. I think that's not the correct amount. At least 10,000 here in Kane. SNAP benefits are used to go to grocery stores. And that reduction of income is going to happen to our grocery stores because those people will no longer be able to shop in the degree that they can shop now. They will be, food pantries will be greatly impacted by the increase of services. We have many volunteers who go to our food pantries. I'm just forecasting that there may be some issues economically with our retail or the tax, the grocery sales tax, because there will be less groceries purchased, even though they are now at a higher price, as well as a real impact upon our food pantries. So I just want to make sure that they're
Yeah, and small businesses, absolutely. And if they're cutting federal dollars from our Small Business Association, okay. We're in interesting times right now. So that is just my quick comments. We've already had our legislative update.
I have one more.
Got another one?
I just have a request. That's
Oh,
all.
sure.
Comes here, just to, and I think I repeat myself regularly, but the legislative committee, we often have, our lobbyists do most of the legwork for us. And I appreciated the chair going with me, to that down in Springfield. It was a lot of fun. I have a plea for anyone listening who is able on this board to notify our lobbyists if they're making requests. Because when King County is sending stuff directly to our legislators and our lobbyists are unaware of it, King County looks foolish. Also, on top of that, what I'm asking is, when you are asking for something on a personal level, make it known to your legislator that it is a personal request and not the request of the county. Because I've gotten over the last week calls from our senators on both of those issues. So I just need to reiterate that we are one body. So let's do that singularly, and we can't continue to go off random. I got an apology for the personal request, and that was perfect. So I just want to beg people to do that, because when they're thinking about giving us money, like, all those things come into play. So let's just try to do better at that teamwork. I got you a hat, but
One more comment. I'm going to be talking to the state's attorney about if the mandates team can meet without breaking the OMA, because we are not on the same committee. So I will be talking to you.
What,
You don't have to answer now. Don't,
okay, that'll be
don't,
offline. That's offline.
I just want to let you know.
Yeah, so you got more than 3 people. All right, is there anybody else, any other committee that needs to weigh in on anything? Wonderful. Can I have a motion?
Ralph will make a motion to adjourn. Davis, you misspoke the comment you made.